going on? You are checking out an all-new The RCWR Show coming at you for Wednesday night of January 29th, 2020. What is going on, guys? A very well-rested Lee Sanders here. Thank you guys so much for checking out this episode, be it live, on demand, or on the downloads. Appreciate the love and the support as always. And hey, man, AEW NXT, just a couple of minutes removed. I gotta tell you something though, man. Both shows went off promptly at 10 o'clock. Is it just me, or looking at the WWE side of things, do you think that because what WWE was doing with Monday Night Raw the past couple of weeks with the Overrun, USA essentially went on ahead and said, okay, that's enough Overrun for now? I only mention that because, as I just said a few seconds ago, both shows went off promptly at 10 o'clock. So if you gingerly maybe said to yourself, oh, there's going to be about 10, 12, 13 more minutes of NXT action. I got enough time to go use the bathroom, come on back, or maybe let the dog out, come back, catch the rest of the NXT action. And you come back and going, hey, what the hell is this? Hey, nothing personal against Miz and Mrs., but where's the rest of the NXT action? Yeah, it went off promptly at 10 o'clock. So you kind of can't help but speculate. I'm sure the wrestling beat writers are probably already at work trying to see what's going on with that, if there's anything to that at all. Not that there's anything bad, but you just can't help but wonder about that. So, hey, I know we didn't do a show for you guys on Monday night, and that was because I actually came down with a pretty nasty chest cold. It was really bad. It actually started development before the weekend was out, and then I just happened to wake up, Monday morning, and I was feeling like utter complete shit. I barely had a voice. I was talking almost like Batman, except it was more distorted, right? Some of you guys would say, well, yeah, that's actually pretty good. You can actually go to work sounding like, I do a lot of socializing at work. My voice, I need it so much because I interact with so many people throughout the day. And as the day had progressed, it actually got worse and worse. And my boss just said, honey, you just don't sound good. Don't you just go crawl back under the covers, take some NyQuil, and just sweat that bad boy out. And that's exactly what I did. So that's why there was no show on Monday night. Unless you guys have a particular question with regards to some of the stuff that went down Monday night with, Raw or whatever, unless there's something you want me to address, I'm just going to mainly focus on what we got tonight. But I do want to sprinkle in a couple of headlines that's come about, wrestling and non-wrestling related, since last we were on the air with you guys. So over on the side of AEW, the main bullet point highlights for tonight: Chris Jericho, the Inner Circle, how are they going to respond essentially to Jon Moxley for deciding, with regards to your offer, nah, I'm good. I'm just going to keep doing my thing over here. Thanks, but no thanks, right? So you got that. And then you've got Brit Baker, the promo that was heard all around the world, possibly for all the wrong reasons. How was AEW going to follow up with that promo this week, right? So you got those couple of things going on. Dark Order, for those that give a damn about the Dark Order, well, what's going on with them? What's next exactly, right? What's going on with that lovely women's division in AEW, right? So some of these questions were addressed tonight. And then over on the NXT side of things, Keith Lee, fresh off of his North American Championship victory, what's next for the new champion? What new threats are going to come to him and his championship in the coming weeks? That would be addressed. Hey, Tommaso Ciampa, he's doing everything he can to get Big Goldie back. Just how far is he willing to go? Is he willing to push it to the limit to get what he wants? Well, we definitely had found that out tonight. And it was the Dusty Rhodes Classic Tournament Final as the Young Grizzly Warriors had took on my favorite guys, Matt Riddle and Pete Dunne. Yeah, so good loads of action that we got tonight from both respected shows. So let's talk about AEW tonight. Okay, look, so AEW, first off, AEW Dark. I do want to show that some love. Yeah, your boy finally been peeking his head a little bit, checking out a little bit of the AEW Dark. Okay, now look, I know that what essentially we are given is a sampler, right? That's how we have to look at these things. We have to look at these things as little samplers. You just at a little cocktail party, right? And you just kicking back and then I said, that is not plastic, that's chandelier. And somebody walks up to you and they go, cocktail, and that's what AEW Dark is. It's a little cocktail. I get it. So I say that, I preface it because you really can't be taking a massive shit on this. However, you expect things to be oh so tight still, because even though you're calling it dark, the fact that anybody on any respected device anywhere in the world can I can just hop on here and, it's not exactly dark. So you kind of want to make it be as tight as possible so that you do not have guys, much love to my friends like Gift Skull, and Matthew Botchamania, who you're making my job easy this week. Look, first let's talk about some of the matches that came out from AEW Dark. We saw a tables match, Nyla Rose defeating Shauna. That match went almost about 8 minutes long. Yeah, Kip Sabian, who defeated QT Marshall. That went about almost 7 minutes. And you had the Dark Order defeat Brandon Cutler and Sonny Kiss. Barely even a 2-minute match, right? So that was it for this week's AEW Dark. Look, man, with regards to the Nyla Rose, Shauna, I'm sure some of you guys have probably seen some of the GIFs that's running around if you got the social media and all that. And you saw a couple of spots in there that made you go, wait a minute here. What's going on right here? Like, seriously? And, if you missed any of those matches, 9 times out of 10, you were able to see all of those in the form of a GIF. Seriously. The quality just really wasn't there this week from the standpoint of maybe, a longer match, give or take. To have people go out there and you say to them, okay, you got less than 3 minutes, go tell your story. I thought AEW Dark, I got to tell you something. And look, 2020 is still relatively early, but I would like to see AEW Dark go in the direction of what Sunday Night Heat by WWE used to be back in the day. I would like to see it become SmackDown from back in the day. I would like it to become WWE Velocity or Superstars even. I would like for it to be that place that you have to go and check out, because the stars of tomorrow, the up and coming, right? The guys that are going to have fans talking about 1 year from now or 3 years or 5 years from now. You get the gist. You got to really do a better job, in my personal opinion, of really building up guys over there. And just a little bit that I've seen so far. I mean, look, the commentating has been phenomenal. I checked out a couple episodes, but the most recent one being what they did just now from what I covered. I got no problem with the commentating whatsoever, but I really need to see them work a little bit more on the character developments, but also at the same time, some stories. I would like to see more story arcs develop that can definitely bleed over into the main show, and maybe vice versa. I would eventually like to see some type of a cross-promotional thing where AEW Dynamite not only references AEW Dark, but it would be a really cool position where Dynamite says, hey, apparently so-and-so had issued a challenge to, will this person accept? Because apparently if they do accept, this is going to be going down on next week's AEW Dark, right? I would kind of like it if they would set it up like that, but then again, you can't help but really ask yourself, well, what is the whole meaning behind the word or words AEW Dark? Seriously, what's it all about? And I'm very curious, if you sat Cody and them down, what is their when they hear AEW Dark, the whole concept, what is it about them other than just another show? What is it about AEW Dark for them? What does it represent? And I'm most curious because whatever they say, then essentially that's kind of our answer and what we've been getting these past couple of months. But I would like to, my personal opinion, I could be wrong on that. Wouldn't be the first, wouldn't be the last, but I would definitely like to see them do a little bit of a better job with AEW Dark. I mean, sometimes there's a case where you're watching Dark, there's one match, oh, hey, that's actually going to be pretty good. I can't wait to check that out. And then there's other times where you're just like this past weeks, you're going, I'm good. I really don't need to watch this. Main show we go. Jon Moxley coming out there still, pushing his patch. Had some interesting crosswords with Le Champion, Chris Jericho. Good setup right here. It's all classic promo there from Jon Moxley. It did kind of feel a little bit Dean Ambrosius. Just a little tiny bit, but Jon Moxley essentially coming out there. I'm just giving you guys the bullet points. Jon Moxley essentially coming out there and telling Chris Jericho, hey, look, I know exactly the type of guy that you are. I know the type of champion that you are. You're everything that I'm not. You are arrogant little prick. You're conniving. You're manipulative. You're a coward. Pretty much just calling Jericho out, blasting him, and delivering the classic, I'm gonna take that championship. Right? Pretty much was Moxley in a nutshell. Chris Jericho coming out to Moxley's demand as Moxley said, hey, look, the hell with the Revolution pay-per-view coming up. The hell with that. How about I just whoop your ass right here and now? This prompted Jericho to come out and basically say, yeah, you know what? Good luck with that because I got the inner circle here. So you can have the fans in attendance or whatever to come to your aid, but, we're still going to kick all y'all's ass. So whatever. And then it got even more interesting as Jericho had brought out a couple of other guys. I'm a little bit curious about their names. Hopefully, I was so busy tonight because I'm still planning the wedding and everything. So I'm looking at some other stuff and everything. I didn't get a chance. Normally I would. But I wanted to research the names of those guys that had came out. It was at least 3. Hang on. I think it was either 3 to 4 Hispanic, or maybe it was 5 additional. It might have been 5 additional guys, Hispanic dudes that came out. Apparently, they were somehow linked to Santana and Ortiz. We didn't hear JR Excalibur and them put these guys over in any type of way like they had did with Lucifer. Oh my God, that's who that is? I think that's so you're kind of led to the impression these guys that we had saw tonight, maybe that was just a one-time deal or whatnot, because now that you really stop and think about it, we didn't see those guys resurface again at the end of the night. So as far as maybe a regular rotation thing, kind of safe to say that's not the case, right? But then again, maybe we'll get some type of answer if we watch AEW Dark, right? Who knows, right? Just saying. I'm thinking ahead already, right? But it was basically 10 guys against Jon Moxley, and yet somehow 10 guys could not get the one-up over Moxley. I just don't understand that whatsoever. I mean, I've had my fair share of fights over the years. I've lost a few fights. I've won a few fights, and whether it was in high school or junior high or after basketball practice or after football practice, I can remember roughing it up with people, and 1 against 2, 1 against 3, well, it really depends how big of a dude you are, how much upper body strength and all that you got and everything. 4 against 1, 4 and up, that's where your odds are kind of, unless you fucking Bruce Lee or Steven Seagal or some shit. So 10 guys against 1, and yet somehow he was essentially able to get somewhat of an upper hand on them. I didn't really like the way that was panned out. I didn't. And the saving grace was seeing the officials come out and try to separate everybody and everything. But for me, the damage was kind of already done, so to speak. So, but, the little things, the attention to detail. There is one thing that I did enjoy a lot, and I got a nice hearty chuckle out of it. For those of you that did not check out AEW Dynamite yet, which you will be later on tonight, there was a really cool spot where Ortiz was getting ready to attack Moxley. And one thing that he had said, hey, Dales, what's up with you, brother? And one thing that my man had said to him, and I got a hearty chuckle out of it. I think only an old head like me would recognize that. And the way he said it, if you really weren't paying attention, you would have missed it just like that. But Ortiz had said to Moxley, you ain't escaping from New York this time, brother. But see, it's the way he said, he didn't project it. It wasn't one of those type of cases like, hey, hombre, you ain't escaping from New York this time, man. It wasn't anything like that. He kind of said it almost within earshot, basically. And it was funny. You guys probably missed it that watched it in real time, but go back, watch that. I just laughed my ass off because I was a big fan of Kurt Russell in Escape to New York. A big fan of his, to the point for the longest time, I wanted him as the live action Nick Fury, long before they did the whole Black Nick Fury and all of that. And that's a fun story in itself, but long before they did the Black Nick Fury, I always thought Kurt Russell, he's the man. And then, see, I'm really showing my age here and my geekiness, but if anybody remembers David Hasselhoff in that god-awful live adaptation of Nick Fury, oh man, that's all I gotta say. You want a hearty laugh and you're a Marvel fan, or maybe you became a Marvel fan within later years and that's something that you didn't get around to checking out. You want a hearty laugh, you don't need no weed, you don't need no alcohol. Just put that on a weekend or a day off. You'll thank me later. Hilarious shit. Hilarious shit. All right, from there, we had saw a little backstage pre-produced segment between the Better Business Bureau, as I like to call them, otherwise known as the Butcher, the Bunny, the Blade, or the Butcher, the Blade, the Bunny, but I like the Butcher, the Blade, the Bunny better, but BBB, right? Better Business Bureau. We saw them in a spot there with MJF. Apparently, there was no word spoken, just MJF handing a big old stack of cash money, that fettuccine, in an envelope with, on that envelope, nice little big font, Sharpie, Young Bucks. Okay, simplistic. We don't need any more of a explanation, because any more of an explanation, and then it turns into an episode of Looney Tunes. George, what does that mean, George? George, why did MJF give those people that white envelope and it says Young Bucks on it? George, tell me what's the story behind that, George. We really, doesn't get any more simplistic than that. We get it. But we still had the commentators guide us a little bit. They helped us out a little bit. I appreciate that. But they really didn't need to do that. They did just enough. Any more would have been overkill. I like that. They're essentially setting up the Young Bucks match. Young Bucks taking on BBB. Good tag team matchup. That was actually a good tag matchup. Young Bucks defeating BBB. MJF was at color commentating. Notice he was taking shots at Tony Schiavone, but he did not take any shots whatsoever with regards to Jim Ross. And I think if you were kind of looking at that going, oh, he's got respect for Jim Ross, huh? Oh, he's immune, huh? What's going on here? Well, I think that's because of what would happen later on, because Jim Ross would get his ass served to him. But depending on how you looked at that promo, I don't know. We'll talk about that in a hot second there. But no MJF cutting on Jim Ross there. But he cut up big time on Tony Schiavone. Actually was a good tag match. I actually had enjoyed that. Post-match, we had saw BBB. They did a gang up. I'm not sure on which Young Buck it was. You guys got to forgive me. I know. But when they wear the same stuff, you know, sometimes back of the head, all these years that's passed, and I still don't know who is who. Ain't that sad? All these years I've been watching them, and I still don't fucking know who's who. I'll get it right one of these days. I'll just have to put my own little, okay, it's kind of similar to the Usos. I forgot. I can't say it on the air, but I know how to, and no, it has nothing to do with their genitalia area, but I basically know how to, okay, that's so-and-so Uso. And yeah, and that other one, that's so-and-so. More on that later, though. But yeah, Better Business Bureau, they had got to jump on one of the Young Bucks, and we saw Kenny Omega, Heyman, Adam Page. They came out for the rescue. I am really loving this new demeanor from my boy Heyman Adam Page, because tonight he's just coming out there. He's got his trademark cowboy jeans, nice little denim jeans. He's got his, Garth Brooks shirt. Hey, I love Garth Brooks, by the way, all right? So don't take that as a knock, but, I'm seeing him come out. He's like a cowboy, he's Garth Brooks. He's coming out there. He's got the belt buckle and all that. He's got a big-ass cup of beer in his hand. And he looks like he's been chugging a few all night long. He gets in there, has one of the Young Bucks hold his beer, and he just flips over the ropes, does his trademark clothesline to one of the BBs there, lays him out, takes back his beer, cheers the boys, rolls out. I love that. One of the biggest problems that a lot of us had with regards to Adam Page was after he had the match with Chris Jericho, we're going, okay, so what's next for Heyman Adam Page? But I'm still being consistent. Remember, you've been watching the show long enough. I've been very consistent with my compliments of Heyman Adam Page. I have said, hey, Heyman Adam Page, he is a guy that you can definitely see as a multi-time champion. He is one that you can essentially build a bona fide babyface off of. You just gotta fine-tune him a little bit. That's all I kept saying. So you gotta fine-tune him a little bit. You gotta build better on that connection he has with the crowd. It's already there. You just gotta heighten it more and really get him even more over. And what they've been doing with him these past couple of weeks, I've been enjoying it to the point he's actually become one of my highlights for Dynamite each week. So I'm loving this new demeanor, him just going out there, interacting with the crowd and everything like that. I love it. I so wish that, and I'm still getting all the names down from MLW, but there's this one guy that is in MLW, and you guys that watch MLW know exactly the guy I'm talking about. But there's this one guy who kind of looks like Adam Page, only he looks like he's in his late 40s, basically. Late 40s, early 50s. And the music he comes out to the Once Upon a Time in the West. I think that was the movie by Sergio Leone. I believe that was the name of the movie with Charles Bronson. He was the silent dude with the harmonica, and he was just killing people left and right. I like every time you saw Charles Bronson, he had that whole harmonica thing. That MLW wrestler, he comes out to that theme. And every time I hear that theme and I look at that dude, I just keep thinking, damn, that would so fit Adam Page. He should be pushing that fucking song, not this dude, right? So it sucks that, because me personally, I think the music for Hangman Adam Page should change a little bit. That's just me. I mean, some of you guys may think the music is already fine, but I think the music needs to change a little bit, but that's just me. Third matchup of the night, Big Swole was in action against Nyla Rose, losing effort, Big Swole to Nyla Rose. I actually had enjoyed this matchup. These two, they actually flowed pretty well together. I got to give them a lot of props. I know usually we kind of have some type of a running gag there with some of the women's action that comes to us from AEW each week, but this was actually a nice, clean, not that I was really looking for anything, but when you've seen so much stuff in the form of botches from AEW shared by Botchamania and crew, you just kind of grow accustomed to be looking for something now. But, it was actually a nice, good, clean, tight match. I didn't have any problem with that matchup right there. Big Swole, the one thing about Big Swole that I need to see more of her in the coming weeks. And this, again, it goes back to what I was saying right before the beginning of this new calendar year as far as what I would like to see happen with AEW going forward. I need to be feeling more heavily invested in these characters. I need to feel just how I now have that connection with Hangman Adam Page and everything. I mean, really, step to the side for a second here. For me personally, other than Hangman Adam Page, I connect with the character of Chris Jericho. I connect with Cody Rhodes. I can even connect with, I just had him on the tip of my MJF. I connect with him tremendously. Good shit right there. I can even connect with Sammy Guevara to a degree. I can even connect with him. I can connect with Pac. I can connect with, I'm just thinking who else jumps out at me off the break. Just going over the roster in my head. There's one other name I'm missing in there. I can't quite picture the name right now. Not really Omega. Omega for me is, nothing's really there with Omega. The personality, there's nothing really there that's really connecting me. I mean, besides his look, I mean, that's really it. Some of the moves that he does, the V-trigger and all that, like, aside from all of that, there's really nothing else that's there for me to really connect to, right? I need to see more of some type of a character / fan connection there. And Big Swole, she's got a great look. She has a very unique look. If I were to describe Big Swole to somebody without even making fun of her, I would say Big Swole reminds me of what would happen if you put Samuel Jackson, right? And yeah, I said Samuel Jackson, yeah. If you put him and you put Jazz and you put the Southern Belle Jacqueline in the blender, you would get Big Swole. That's essentially how I see Big Swole. I mean, she has a promising career. I can definitely see it. I can see just a bit of why AEW had signed her and everything like that. But, I don't want to keep feeling like when I turn on the television every single week, okay, here's this girl, right? Okay, give me the incentive. Why should I give a damn about, this person in the ring right now? Where is the conflict? How did this match come about with this other person, right? I'm not saying we got to always be in a situation where there's an instant Acme feud, but I need some type of, okay, what led us to here? Perfect example, not to get sidebar, but over on NXT tonight, you would have seen that there was a match between Trent Seven and Finn Balor. And you go, damn, it's kind of random. Well, exactly how did we get to this point? And then they showed a WWE.com exclusive where last night on some public grounds, I guess WWE was doing a tour somewhere or whatever, and Trent Seven, he was giving an interview, and next thing you know, Finn Balor comes from behind, attacks him. Now, Trent Seven was actually about to get inside his car. He had his car door open and everything, and so he's talking to the camera people or whatever. Finn Balor comes up from behind, attacks him, then grabs him by the back of the head, rams his head into the top of the car door windshield. So he's going into it throw first, and Balor's just grinding him in there, and he's telling him the next time you ever decide, you and your little mustache boys, y'all decide you want to meddle in my business again, this is just a taste of what's going to happen to you. All right, so he lets him have it really, really good, and then runs away and everything. And so you're going, oh, because as soon as you see this match is about to go down, you're going, well, this kind of feels a little bit random. Or if it's a case where you maybe haven't really been following, right? Maybe you missed an episode or whatever. It's okay. It happens to the best of us. It happened to me. It's like, oh, okay. All right. Now I know what's going on. Okay. All right. So we have this conflict here and it led to this match. Okay. All right. I'm down with that. Cool. Right. So something that WWE and a lot of other promotions do very, very well as far as people in the ring. Why are they having this match, right? They do a really good job at that, I personally feel. But Big Swole, I'm very high on her. I think she's going to have a very promising career, whether it be in AEW or elsewhere. I see why they picked her up. I do. I sincerely do. Cody defeated Kip Sabian. For me, this was actually the match of the night. I don't know how it was for you guys in you all's book, but Kip Sabian taking on Cody, damn good one right there. Now, look, the referee, Bryce, I touched upon this on social media, and AEW here, they kind of stumbled onto something without realizing it here with this referee, Bryce. I don't know his last name. Maybe you guys can help me out.
but I know his name is Bryce. Now, Bryce, I've seen him the past couple of times now, and usually, I just told you guys a couple of nights ago, if I know your name and you're a referee, that's usually a bad thing. That means you're doing something that I'm not particularly fond of, right? Or if in the case of maybe a Jessica Carr, right? Okay, got the promotion and everything. Okay, so that's how I can remember a referee's name. In this particular case, this referee couldn't remember his name, but now, tonight on, I'm going to know his freaking name, at least his first name. This Bryce referee, I've seen him off and on the past several weeks, and normally, when something goes on in a match that he doesn't like, he's got that very distinct, high-pitched voice. And for me, it's quite comical, right? I love it, Yeah, you'll tell me what to do. He's kind of like that, And we're seeing him on display tonight. He's overly animated as he's talking to Arn Anderson. And Arn Anderson is trying to point out to him, hey, you gotta watch out for Penelope Ford. This shit that she's doing, and this ref is so infatuated with what's going on outside of the ring. It's brother. The hell with the old man and the hot blonde. Focus on the in-ring action. They're just trying to mingle with each other. They're not trying to mingle with the guys in the ring. Who the hell cares what's going on with these two on the outside? Well, I get it though, because to play devil's advocate, okay, well, we're trying to, right, as the booker, we're trying to bring your attention to the outside little chatter over here, because something's gonna go down here with these two, right? So we want you to kind of have that in the back of your mind, but yeah, also at the same time we want you to, right? But for me, it just kind of felt a little bit over exaggerated with the way they had the ref just constantly fixated on. I mean, if he would have been any more invested outside of the ring, the guys inside of the ring could have been doing low blows to each other all fucking night long, right? So eventually you see a spot come about where Penelope Ford successfully throws a shoe in the ring as she's trying to do her best to help out her boy Sabian. And it caused just it wasn't even really a distraction. She just, throws a shoe in there. Cody sees it. He's still going for the cover, but Sabian kicks out. At this point, Double A, he's had enough. He gets in there, and you've got that referee. Don't you come in here! Don't you come in here! He almost kind of reminds me, now that I'm thinking about it, he almost kind of reminds me of fucking Barney Fife or fucking Mr. Furley from Three's Company. I mean, that's how he sounds. Just listen to him next time. I'm not picking on him. Just go back and listen to him. Every time, God damn it, Jack! You gotta get out of here, Jack! He's just kind of like that, and God, he just comes off so fucking obnoxious. But yeah, man, dudes. So he's saying this to Double A. Don't you come in here! Don't you come in here! I'm bored of you! And finally, Double A walks in there, and he's got the shoe in his hand, and he's like, seriously? It's like, seriously, this girl throws her shoe in here, and you're not gonna do anything about her? Seriously? So he throws the shoe to the fans. Hopefully, nobody had butterfingers, and it didn't hit them in their damn eyeball. But Arn Anderson uses his weight around, literally. He does the belly bump, little chest belly bump to the ref. And the referee, as you would expect, ejects Arn Anderson. Match continues. Looked like Kip Sabian was maybe going to be getting this, because Kip Sabian, he's looking like, yep, because everything's going my way. Him and Penelope, they actually were outside of the ring at one point, and they were getting ready to go for a kiss. And Joey Janela was just right there, right? Because where they were kissing, it was pretty much right in front of the fans by a barrier. And so Joey Janela just injects himself right there. I love that little spot. I couldn't help but bust up in tears with laughter at that spot. So they did not like that whatsoever. That was enough of a nice little distraction, though, that Joey Janela had caused, because eventually the action, goes back into the ring. Cody kicks it into a higher gear. I got to give mad props to Cody this week. Cody showed me a lot of tenacity. He really, took it up that notch. Overall, I love the story that was being told, to the point what they got there with that referee there. At first I just felt it was a bit overkill, but then I'm kind of thinking about it a little bit more. And AEW kind of stumbled upon something. If they wanted to explore it, I don't think really there's any problem with exploring it. What you got there with that referee, I mean, let's really stop and think about this. What does that referee remind you of in the real world? What does that referee remind you of? I'll tell you exactly what that referee reminds you of. That referee should remind you of that one cashier. That one cashier. You're doing your groceries, and on this particular day, you did not bring your personal bags from home. Your recyclable bags, you didn't bring them. And the guy says to you, hey, would you like paper or plastic? Well, nowadays it's plastic. And you're like, yeah, I left my bags at home. Yeah, I'd appreciate that, right? And so, he's charging you 5 cents a bag or whatever the fuck it is. And then it comes to, I don't know, some milk or whatever, right? It comes to some milk or whatever. And Nate, why are we mentioning Danny Davis? I don't get that. Why are we mentioning Danny Davis? No, the referee that I'm talking about that is in AEW, his name is, I just had the name, Bryce. That's his name. I just didn't catch the last name. His first name is Bryce, though. Bald head guy, kind of looks like dude that's playing Lex Luthor now in the Supergirl TV show joint. But anyway, all right, so you got that irritating little fucking cashier, right? You get down, you got your gallon of milk, and you're kind of going, yeah, I know I can just hold that by the hand. That's fine. But maybe you got something that's in glass, right? And you see the cashier, he puts it in one bag, and you're like, nah, man, that's not going to work. I need that doubled up, right? Then you say to that cashier, oh, hey, can I get a second bag, right? And you don't spend, at this point, $300 on groceries. And that cashier decides they want to, right? And you're like, hey, not for nothing, I'm spending $300 here. Can't you just give me a free bag on the house? After all, you see what this is. The odds of it lasting that long in one plastic bag. Come on, I'm going to be turning right back around here, and I'm going to be needing to buy this all over again. Like, come on, give me a bag on the house, right? And that little cashier is just being a fucking dick, and he is still gonna charge it at 3 or that 5 cent, right? Or there's always that one guy, that one cop that has to issue the ticket, right? That has to issue you that ticket. Hey, I'm sorry, I'm right here though. I can move it right now. And that's what that Bryce referee reminds me of tremendously, to the point that I think AEW, I think they stumbled upon something tonight with this character, where if they wanted to, they can have this referee be in a position where he's power hungry, and it would be a really fun storyline, to the point, who's gonna put this referee in their place or whatever. You could really turn this into a storyline if you wanted to. I could see some fun shit going down where Cody, or more so Moxley, does something to that referee, gets reprimanded as a result. Maybe that poor little butthurt referee tries to put a lawsuit on the company and all that, right? I could see all kinds of fun little shit going down. I don't know if AEW even thought about something like that, but just all of that. I didn't even have to I never write any of this shit down. Since when do I write any of this shit down? Just randomly, I'm watching this. This is what pops up in my head as I'm watching it. They might have something there. Probably one of the nicest moments of the night for me personally. I know everybody is still shitting on her, but you know what? It's one thing about this show. I don't go to the beat of everybody else's drum. I don't. I speak my mind. At the end of the day, it's my opinion. If it's wrong, hey, you know what? I didn't say I was God, right? But when I see some type of a conscious effort being made, I will always give that praise where it's due. Brit Baker, the segment that she had tonight, I was actually okay with her execution. I was very critical of her spot last week on the cruise. And, it's one thing to do a podcast and shit, make fun of her in the segment. And, oh, well, you know who her boyfriend is. You know why she's got this whole wrestling gig in the first. That would be too easy. That would be too easy. Let me tell you something. As somebody that has been a professional freelance artist, took a little bit of a hiatus for some years, but as somebody that is a freelance artist, let me tell you something. One of the things that I had to learn, especially when I was going to schools for my craft, was be able to take the harshest criticism. Be able to take the harshest criticism, because that criticism, you got to weed out, okay, what is really constructive criticism here and what is essentially just insults. And there's a big difference. And when you can separate the two and, okay, let me take this, I need that. Okay, and that's how I'll improve my game. I probably was maybe one of a select few, if not the only person last week that said, you can go back and you can check out the show. I said last week, almost word for word, Brit Baker, it was okay. The execution was weak. She needs to practice more. She needs to get in front of some mirrors. She needs to do some selfie phone little things, get in front of some friends, get in front of her peers, have them critique her work. She got her man, right? We know he's a wrestler, okay? He did phenomenally well in his segment tonight against Tommaso Ciampa, okay? So my whole deal was, if you're serious about this, and you really, really want this, then you got to have that mindset that whatever it takes, fuck the haters. If anything, whatever I was lacking in, I got to learn from it, and I got to come out there and I got to fucking do it. Okay. And she went out this week and, it was a lot better than what she did last week. I got to admit that. I don't know what it was. I don't know what was going on with her last week, but this week, seemed as though she had more confidence in what she was saying. She didn't really come off as if she was, just spasming all over the place with her promo. It felt more controlled. It felt more matter of fact. I love how she carried the hell out of, and see, this is the beautiful part. She is saying nothing any different than what people have been saying about either her, she's a dentist right now. She's starting to throw that in there. And then she's also bashing the women's champion, Rio. It's like, where's the women's champion when it counts, right? Hey, that's something that we've all been complaining about for some weeks now, right? All right. And she complained about Jim Ross. Jim Ross can't even, get majority of the goddamn names right on the fucking roster, right? I mean, so all of these are valid points that fans have been bringing up themselves throughout social media. Now, where we may part ways, and I don't blame some fans feeling this way, is, yeah, Lee, all those points that she brought up in her promo tonight, yeah, those were very valid points, but yeah, dog, I don't think maybe she should have been the one to deliver those, because, some of you may still say the execution, but nah, man, like, I challenge anybody. You go back to last week and you compare that promo last week to this week. I mean, leaps and bounds of improvement. Right down to the point, I actually at her on Twitter. You don't believe me? You can go and you can see what I had said to her directly there out in the open. I give two shits none. I will, if I see something that's good, I will give it praise. If I see something, but there could definitely be some room of improvement, I will always offer it. But I said, tweet, here it is, and I quote, I blazed her last week, but real Brit Baker showed drastic improvement there. Keep up on the consistency and practice them promos. Selfies, mirrors, in front of friends, the works. That was solid this week. For me, she gets a passing grade. She still has a bit of more work to do. For me, I can rate people from this type of scale. I can rate people from the Mike Adamle, Dixie Carter, right? I can basically go from that type of a scale, Teddy Long, I can go, essentially in a spot like that, mix them in there with the Billy Corgan from the TNT days or Impact Wrestling days, so, she's coming along. She is coming along. And that's just a matter of fact in life. If you're very serious about something, you're really passionate about something, I mean, come on. Let's be honest. How many of you out there, for example, you picked up the controller for that video game you were thinking about getting for a couple of weeks, and you finally decided you want to get the video game. And what always happens for majority of people when you're first playing that video game? You get your fucking ass handed to you. But you keep practicing and practicing and practicing, and soon enough, you're a fucking expert. Okay, I'm ready for multiplayer now. You go in multiplayer, what typically happens? You get your ass owned. Well, you've been playing the computer all this time, so what the fuck did you think was gonna happen, right? So now you're facing people that are either highly skilled, right? They're either expert, intermediate, or they're a beginner. So, now you gotta learn how to really be more quick. You gotta be more savvy and all that with your skills on the controller and everything like that. Not to mention, hopes that you have a really good internet connection, right? Because if you got some lagging, right, as soon as that multiplayer joint loads up, your ass dead, right? You waiting 30 seconds to play, and fools on already got 20 kills off your ass, right? All right, so I mean, anything that you don't know anything about, editing software, you name it, like, everybody starts off the same. But what separates is those that are, okay, I'm really determined to master this shit, to get this shit down. I am going to do everything in my power to learn this, master it, and be a pro at this, right? And so what I saw tonight, that says to me that, okay, she is willing to put in some type of an effort. So we'll see if she can keep it up and if she can continue to get better. And when she's not, I'll definitely be right here offering my constructive criticism, without a doubt. Next up, let's see, we got a promo there by, actually no, right before that, there was SCU. They had defeated Hybrid 2. I pretty much fast forward through this. It's kind of heartbreaking sometimes to see SCU come on out there, with the exception of Scorpio Sky. But sometimes all I see is just middle-aged dads when I look at SCU. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because I've been seeing Kazarian and Daniels for so long that it's just, But there wasn't anything for me tonight, to each its own, but for me tonight, there wasn't anything that was, let me sit down for this. SCU's taking on the Hybrid 2. Hey, right. So I gotta be honest, I fast forward through that one, but I did catch the Dark Order interrupting their little celebration post victory there, as Evil Uno had cut a promo on Daniels saying, what did he refer to his boss or his king or whatever, or his majesty, the exalted one or whatever, saying that, he's got a bone essentially to pick with Daniels, and that he is their next target. Everything that Daniels loves as far as his family, his brothers, just everything tied into SCU, everything is going to crumble. So we see what's going on with that next chapter there. So this almost kind of follows up to something that I was talking about a couple of weeks ago, which was, hey, Daniels, a member possibly of the Dark Order, that would be, and I even went a step further. I said either a member of the Dark Order, or he's the new leader of the Dark Order, or he's always been the leader of the Dark Order. Wow. Imagine if they did that. Then they'd have to spend almost an entire episode kind of like Bully Ray and the whole Aces and Eights thing. Some people bash the hell out of it. I commend them for taking 2 hours just to explain a whole fucking story arc and how it made sense. They had to 2 hours. 2 hours. Take that with a grain of salt there. No, seriously, it was a 2 hour episode of Impact that they did, explaining how Bully Ray orchestrated it. And on the one hand, you're watching it, you're going, but then on the other hand, you're going, wow, you had to correct how many weeks of programming just to try to make everything make sense within 2 hours. So you could either say that's pretty damn good, or you could say that's really fucking reaching, dude. Awkward segment next up. We saw a pre-produced joint with Pac walking around the streets at night in his trunks. And I'm sorry, I was very distracted at that. I know he was saying something. All I heard was, AEW, fight. And, you know, I know he's spoiling for a fight. Give him what he wants, right? Whoever he wants, Omega, or give him whoever he wants that rubber band match with. But I was so distracted with the fact that it's Pac walking around in his trunks and boots late at night, cold as fuck, because each time he's talking, you can just see his breath in the air. And I couldn't help but look at that and go, Pac, I really hope you're in the type of area where you're going to be all right, brother, because, you know, at that time of night, dude, trunks, leather boots, you know, park, and not for nothing, there's some dudes that be strolling around the streets at night, cruising for some man-on-man action. So, you know, I don't know, that just for me was just... And now it got me back rewinding. Man, every time we've seen something involving Pac, he's always in his damn trunks and boots. It's like, does Pac always have to be in his trunk and boots? Why can't we sometimes see Pac in a suit? That's not asking too much, right? If you don't want him looking like some average Joe or whatever, okay, I can respect that. You don't want to put him in jeans and a t-shirt, I can respect that. Why can't we see him in a suit? What's wrong with seeing Pac in a suit? Who said we had to put him in a suit and tie? Put him in a suit, right? Give him a nice little black, not a turtleneck. I can't. Some turtlenecks I like. It depends, but don't give him a turtleneck. Give him maybe one of those U-collars, or like the collar I'm pushing, or give him a V-neck joint up under the blazer and all that. Give him something like that, you know. Each time you see him, it's just all solid black, right? Do something like that. We gotta see this brother always running around, right? I mean, I'm just picturing, you know, going to the store and I'm just picking up a box of fucking, you know, Cheerios, and I look to my left and there's Pac. What the hell are you looking at? And he's just standing there in his goddamn trunks and his boots. It's like, nothing. Yeah, you don't want none of this. Where's the Frosty Flakes? You know, or just imagine you're at Chuck E. Cheese and it's, you know, I don't know, somebody's having a birthday party and there's Pac just there in his trunks at a table by himself drinking a pitcher of diet tea or some shit. Like, it's just weird, man. It's just weird. Please, AEW, please do something a little better with Pac there. Come on, man. Don't do my man like that. Seriously. All right. By the way, no Orange Cassidy tonight. It was a little disappointing in that. No Orange Cassidy tonight. I actually dig that dude. I got a promo there for next week. Next week, we got the 10 lashes from MJF to Cody. Also, we have Ortiz in action. Ortiz is going to be in action against Moxley. Brit Baker is going to be taking on Yaka Sakazaki in her AEW debut. Lucha Brothers, BBB, will be taking on the Young Bucks, Omega, and Paige. So some really solid action that's going to be coming up on next week's AEW. We do have one more match we can talk about. The last match of the evening was Private Party and Darby Allin. They faced and lost to Chris Jericho, Santana, and Ortiz. That was your main event match of the night. That went about almost 15 minutes long. That actually was a good tag team matchup. That was a good closer. I actually had enjoyed that one. Still pretty high on Private Party, you know, but for me, some of these guys that I'm looking at and I'm going, oh, I really like these guys, like Private Party. For me, the keys to success, the consistency of having them on TV. So, you know, I know when I was on Wrestling Soup a couple of weeks ago, you know, we all had different opinions about the AEW show, the second one that's going to be coming to TNT and everything like that. But I still feel that with a second show in the mix on TNT, that they can thrive tremendously. They can continue story arcs. They can continue to build up stars and everything like that. And I'm looking at a team like Private Party, and I can see really big things happening for them. Really big things. I'm really into them. I'm really invested into them as far as new acts go and everything. Like over in the MLW, I still cannot get behind Injustice. I still can't get behind those guys. Those guys are phenomenal when they're in there together in any combination, whether it's just a tag match or it's a trio tag match. I love those guys. They have so much of an infectious energy that they bring when they're in their tag matches. I love it. I love their tagging more than I do when they go at it one-on-one. But where they lack big time is in their promos. And if you need something that's ever more evident, look at what had went down, if not last week, the week before, when they had beat the crap out of, it's on the tip of my tongue, I want to say they beat the crap out of Brian Pillman Jr. Yes, Brian Pillman Jr. for the Opera, before the Opera Cup tournament match that he had, as it was looking as though maybe he wasn't going to be able to do that match and everything. And we saw the outcome of that afterwards. And their promo afterwards, I mean, it was so, you know, they were so naked. So naked, right? And, you know, and you look at guys like them and you go, you know who'd be good for them? Conan. And not for nothing, Conan now has that working relationship with MLW and everything. So who knows? Maybe somewhere down the road, maybe we'll see, right? I mean, it worked very well with LAX, all the different incarnations of LAX we saw over the years, right? So maybe, just maybe, Santino, Ortiz, maybe, right? So, but yeah, Private Party, you know, that's why I'm a little bit heartbroken that MVP did not sign with AEW, because I think MVP, I think he would have done perfect. He would have fit very well with Private Party there, and you know, really being the mouthpiece, really putting the spotlight on him and everything. I think he really would have been able to help them out tremendously. But you know, now you're kind of like, well, who in AEW that you have right now, who could possibly, right? And just kind of looking at that whole thing, because right now they need a good rub off. They really do. You know, I don't know. I don't know if that's a case where maybe they could get that rub off from Cody, maybe continuing to pair up with him. Maybe they could get the rub off that way. Or maybe they could get some type of a rub off with Arn Anderson. Because, I mean, for me personally, and can anybody really explain this to me? Arn Anderson with Cody. Like, I get it, but I don't get it. And the reason why I don't get it is because I feel that it's not really needed. I think Cody is just fine on his own, honestly, right? My whole thing is, nah, man, if you're going to pass off Arn to somebody, pass him off to somebody that could really, really use it. And I think a team like Private Party could really use something like that, especially as far as a mouthpiece and all that goes. But yeah, that was a really good main event match for the evening. Thoroughly had enjoyed that. So AEW overall tonight, just kind of looking over the matches again. The match that really stood out to me the most, Cody taking on Kip Sabian. The main event match, Chris Jericho, Santana, and Ortiz. And by the way, post-match there, we did see the Inner Circle. They were stomping a mud hole there on Darby Allin. Private Party, nowhere to be found. I guess maybe poof be gone, whatever. But Darby Allin was getting a serious beat down by all the members of Inner Circle. And then you had Jon Moxley come out with a bat, and he's just going to town on all of those guys. And they pretty much were running away, licking their wounds. You even had Jack Hager in there. Jack Hager took a little bit of bumps here and there, but not too much. I felt not too much. But yeah, they all basically had retreated. So Dynamite goes off with Moxley standing over Darby Allin there, helping him out, pointing his bat there at the Inner Circle. So You would like to believe, if you're following the consistency here in the storytelling, that Darby is going to definitely return that gesture and everything, right? So now you're kind of starting to see a case right here where, if you're kind of looking into the crystal ball in the near future, because we're still some weeks away from that Revolution pay-per-view event, you would like to believe that maybe in the coming weeks, we're going to see something along the lines of, okay, well, Cody, if you got Sammy Guevara and you got Santino and Ortiz, and essentially you've got Jack Hager, but let's just leave Jack Hager out. Let's just say Jericho, you got Guevara, you got Santino, and you got Ortiz. Okay, well, now Moxley definitely has an ally in Darby Allin for what he did tonight, right? And not for nothing, but you could essentially say that Private Party wants to extract some type of revenge. They want to try to redeem themselves from the defeat that they took at the hands of the Inner Circle this week. So they're going to team up with Moxley and Darby Allin, right? Okay, so you got 4-on-4 right there. So as far as going back a couple of minutes ago to that whole rub-off thing that I was talking about, that you could try to start giving the Private Party on a regular basis, right? Start building them up, right? Okay, so there's your consistency right there. But now you've got the whole ace factor in Hager. Okay, well, how the hell do you counter a guy like Jack Hager? Who do you get? Maybe that's a case where, without the fans knowing it, right? Maybe they could pull a page out of what WWE had did there when Samoa Joe and Kevin Owens, they were going, yeah, we got a tag partner that's going to help us against the Monday Night Messiah and AOP. And Samoa Joe's like, who is this person? Oh, no, it was actually Kevin Owens. Who's the guy you got? I'm curious. Who's the guy you got? And eventually we find out it's Big Show. Well, maybe AEW can borrow a page from that playbook, and it turns out their equalizer, just in case Jack Hager wants to get involved, is Luchasaurus. It makes all the sense in the world. That's another guy you're looking at and you're going, that's a definite future bona fide AEW star in the making right there, a future World Heavyweight Champion right there. So we'll see what happens. I mean, they got a couple of weeks to really string this together and, make everything make sense and bridge that gap here leading into that Revolution pay-per-view event. Hey, I want to take this time out before we get ready to talk about some NXT. And then after NXT, we also got some headlines. I do have some non-wrestling related headlines. I do want to talk a little bit more about the unfortunate passing of those victims involved in that helicopter crash, along with Kobe Bryant and his daughter. Not really any new information, but just kind of follow up on what we had touched upon on Sunday when we initially had went to YouTube and shared the news with you all and everything. But yeah, we got loads more wrestling and non-wrestling related stuff we can get into. But before we get into all of that, do want to take this time out to recognize some of our sponsors for tonight's show. Love these guys tremendously. First off, I want to give a mad shout out to good friends over at watchshopus.com. Hey, look, February is right around the corner. Let me ask you guys something and be straight up honest with yourselves. Have you done your Valentine's Day shopping yet? If you have not, and you need some really good gift ideas, you still got time, man. Go to watchshopus.com. They got great gifts for him or for her. Jewelry, man, earrings, whole 9 yards. You can find some really, really cool, nice stuff. Nothing but the top name brands. Nothing but the best and fine quality. No knockoff crap, okay? You know me. I don't try to give you guys the knock. Nah, I give you guys the legit good stuff and at really good, reasonable, affordable prices. And if you act for a limited time, at least for the remainder of January, I don't know if you're going to be doing it for February. I'll let you know. I'll check and get back to you guys. But I know for these final days in January, shipping anywhere in the U.S. is free, right? So shop with confidence and all that. Watchshopus.com. Appreciate those guys for being a sponsor of tonight's episode of the RCWR Show with Lee Sanders. We're also brought to you in part by the good folks behind the movie, President Evil. If you love a little bit of SNL mixed in with Meet the Press, Real Time with Bill Maher, you love all that little silly combination. I do. I'm a big fan of that stuff. Check out President Evil. The synopsis for that: 3 girls They are stalked by a deranged killer that just so happens to be dressed as the President of the United States of America. It's a comedy slash black comedy, political film. Check it out. Good shit right there. It's on Amazon. You can also, while you're at it, be kind and check out our good friends over at Leafy Legal Services. Leafy Legal Services. Check them out if you are a real estate investor or you're an entrepreneur. Hey, man. As far as growing your business goes, there can be some daunting tasks, and when it's all said and done, you want to make sure you're doing your best to stay cash flow positive. Leafy Legal Assets, they can help you with all of that and so much more, right? Check them out, leafyassets.com. Once again, leafyassets.com. Appreciate all of the other sponsors that are on board with us for the next couple of weeks. Happy to have you guys on board, and so those of you that have continued to have this working relationship with us, thank you very much in advance. Love you all tremendously. All right, so we'll get into some Patreon shout outs in a little while. For now, kick on back. Second half of the show, we're talking about NXT for tonight. NXT, hey, this is pretty damn good. NXT, pretty damn good. I know we'll get into the ratings later, and I do have the numbers in front of me for how both shows had did last week, and I gotta tell you, the numbers were pretty eerie as far as how close I was. You'll see when we get ready to talk about it in a hot second here. But for NXT for this week, so we kind of teased it a little bit. We did briefly mention Balor, Trent Seven. That was essentially your opening matchup. There was no promo or anything like that. It just pretty much went right into the in-ring action. And that match did not last that long. My God, that match was probably at most, maybe about 11 minutes. It got nowhere near 15 minutes. I can tell you that for sure. But Finn Balor pretty much had the jump on Trent Seven. Even right before he fully was able to get into the ring, he pretty much was on his ass like white on rice. Just stomping a mud hole in his ass, taking advantage of that still kind of damaged neck a little bit and everything. So, it was a good match. I kind of felt bad for Trent Seven, and I think mainly because of the whole wave of momentum that he had there with my man Tyler Bate, mustache mouth. Tyler Bate, I gotta be the only guy, by the way, that keeps mentioning this, but Tyler Bate, I'm expecting a really good, bright career for him in WWE, because who does he remind you of? What celebrity does he remind you of when you look at him? Just think about that for a couple of minutes. I'll come back to that. I won't forget it, but just think about all the celebrities that you've seen over the years. Who does he remind you of? And we'll come back to that in a hot second. All right, our next matchup of the night. And again, I don't need to rehash because we pretty much had told you everything that's set up. Balor taking on Trent Seven and everything. But yeah, Finn Balor essentially making easy work out of Trent Seven tonight. Shotzi Blackheart defeated Deonna Purrazzo. That was actually a good match, man. It's nice to finally be in a position where I can see more matches of Shotzi. I've seen a little bit over the years, and I'm not going to fake. I couldn't tell you the promotions that I had saw her in, but off and on over the years, there was some things that I had saw, but Shotzi was kind of one of those girls that unfortunately, I knew she was a solid wrestler. By solid, like scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the shit, 10 being the awesome sauce. For me, I looked at her as a 7, and that's not bad. I looked at her as a 7, but for me, it wasn't one of those type of deals where I would go out of my way like some wrestlers I do from time to time, and I'll just spend an hour and I'll just look at all of their matches. I'll just binge for an hour and just look at nothing but their matches. Shotzi, I didn't do any of that stuff too. So it's now kind of cool to be in this position now where, hey man, all I gotta do is just make sure Wednesday nights, right? And I'm probably gonna see my girl, right? Right, that's cool. So I like her energy. She brings a unique, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because of her overall look and the hair color, but she brings a fresh, yeah, that's the word. Freshness. I was trying to find something else I could add to that, but no. Freshness. Just straight up freshness. And I think when you go back and you just look at who all we've had in the WWE over the years, I know a lot of you guys were kind of pointing this out, and I'm surprised that a lot of people are just now kind of realizing this, because I've been saying this off and on for some years, but for some reason, particularly when it came to the Royal Rumble, everybody was going, it's a lot of blondes. It's like, yeah, like, follow the analytics of time in the WWE. We've always had a majority of blondes. Where you been, But I like the uniqueness, if that's even a word, that Shotzi Blackheart has. Just the whole aura about her and everything. Even her goddamn entrance. I thought her entrance was fucking badass. She's coming out in a cute little mini tank. I mean, she came out there, she kind of reminds me a little bit like, she reminds me a little bit like Joan Jett, mixed in with Overlord, mixed in with Gremlins. I say Overlord and the Gremlins from the standpoint of, her being in that little fucking tank, and she's just, after she's done whooping your ass, she goes right back in the tank and she's just driving away. And it's like, damn, that seemed like some Gremlin type of, Overlord type of shit. So I like her. She's pretty fucking cool. I gotta say, I like her. I really do like her. She's cool. But yeah, and Deonna Purrazzo, come on, man. I gotta show her some love too, man. She's gotten much thicker since last I saw her. I've seen her off and on NXT a couple of weeks, but this was really my first time that I was kicking back and, I was looking and I was like, oh man, in a good way, not in a bad way, in a good way. Hey, I like my women thick. I'm sorry. I like my women thick. Shotzi's good. Now, I know Shotzi ain't exactly thick, but, Shotzi's good, but I like a thick woman now. I like a thick woman. Speaking of thick, I gotta mention this, just going back to AEW one more time. I tell you guys how Tams is occasionally, the wrestling fan now. She's not, if you listen to the Patreon shows, she's not. And by the way, it was a great episode we did a wrestling with the topics last week. She doubled down on everything Tessa Blanchard and what's been going on with how Impact handled it and everything. It was nice to hear a female perspective, especially from somebody that, gingerly checks out wrestling here and there, right? She doesn't go out of her way to watch it, unless it's a case where she's coming home from work, the TV's on, I'm in front of it and wrestling happens to be on, like tonight. So the AEW main event match, I'm putting last together notes for the show, right? And getting the stream and all that set up. And she goes, that is Chris Jericho, right? I say, yeah, what's going on? It's like, yeah, ooh. Well, what's wrong? He's really gotten big. And you gotta keep in mind, she doesn't watch AEW like you and me do, right? Especially us podcasts. She doesn't watch it, And now that I think about it, I don't think I think this was probably her first time since AEW premiered watching, more than 2 minutes of a match, right? From beginning to end. So she actually saw the main event there with Jericho and all of them. And she goes, man, yeah, Jericho's gotten big. I'm like, yeah, it happens to the best of them. He's 49, pushing 50, I think, or if not already 50. Like, yeah, I'm looking at him and, he seems to be in pain. I'm like, what do you mean? It's like, certain moves that he's doing, he looks like he's kind of struggling. Like, you have concern for his health or, and she goes, cause she works in the health, healthcare field and all that and everything. Now she's more focused on the dental side of it, but she still had all those previous years of, being in the healthcare and all that. And she goes, yeah, I'm a little bit concerned about his health. but I don't like how he's moving around. It's taking him a lot longer to do certain things. I'm seeing his reactionary time, and it's not on par from what I remember of seeing, because she's a big Jericho fan. So to hear her say that, I was like, whoa. And then she really painted the picture so fucking perfectly. Anybody that's seen The Irishman, if you haven't, check it out. I know that a lot of people aren't really feeling that movie, but it's a good movie. I think it's personally a damn good movie, right? And it just kind of makes you feel as though what you see of The Irishman is a bit of a swan song or whatever. But she goes, you remember that scene in The Irishman where Robert De Niro, we're supposed to believe he's in his early 40s or whatever? And remember that scene where he's kicking the shit, or he's having a hard time kicking the shit out of the guy that put his hands on his daughter? I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, Jericho's kind of moving like that. I'm like, damn. I'm like, you're savage. She's like, yeah, but I know, but truthfully, he's moving around a little bit too slow. So to hear her say that, I just thought that was, but I told her, I said, Jericho is at a point in his life where life is good. He makes fun of himself. He's well aware that he's packed on some pounds. He openly makes fun of himself on social media and everything, but life is good. He's at peace. He's happy. Hey, as long as he's happy, that's all that matters. But to hear her say that, it was kind of like, I don't know. That's I just thought it was interesting. I just thought I'd point that out, because it's not every day. It's one thing when you constantly hear from your circle of friends and listeners, and you're watching these shows every single week, and you hear the same rhetoric over and over and over. But then here comes somebody that essentially is really detached from the wrestling, that could come in and can go, this isn't the guy that I'm used to seeing. I'm not saying this guy's got to be 5-star fucking, but this isn't the guy I've grown up over, past several years watching, him. This isn't exactly the guy I'm used to seeing, So I just thought that was kind of interesting. And we got on that because we were talking about thickness and all that. So don't think I got sidetracked for nothing. All right, your next matchup, talking NXT there. Damian Priest, Dijakovic, they were in a segment there with your new North American champion, Keith Lee. Keith Lee, no relation to me, obviously. Keith Lee coming out there, basking in the gloriness that is he being the new NXT North American champion, knowing that there's some people backstage that want to get them a piece of him and his championship. So we actually saw Damian Priest come out. He wanted to challenge Keith Lee. But then Dijakovic came out. He wanted to challenge. So two big, tall studs here trying to go at it. And this essentially had set up a one-on-one matchup that got approved by William Regal. This actually, for me, as far as matches of the night, I got to give it up to these two guys. I mean, these two guys, what are they, like 7 foot tall or whatever? And these guys were just going out there, and my mouth just dropped. I couldn't believe some of the shit that I was doing, especially the high-risk maneuvers. The high-risk maneuvers that both men were doing in this. I'm going, my God, you guys are agile as fuck. At the same time, I'm also going, as tall as you guys are, you don't need to be doing all that high-risk shit from the ropes. From the top ropes. You don't need to be doing that shit. Longevity, help out the knees more, right? You don't need to be doing all that shit. But it was fantastic seeing them doing what they were doing, and seeing the closing moments there where Dijakovic had essentially grabbed Priest, put him in that torture rack, and then set him up. It was one nice fluid flow too, man. It was just nice, one fluid motion. Did the torture rack and setting him up for the Feast Your Eyes finisher there. Getting the 1, 2, 3. You're like, ooh, good shit, good shit. Both men. And they're finally starting to find their stride a little bit too, as far as personality goes. Because I remember we were on this show a while back. I'm not really sure if I had mentioned it about Damian Priest. But I know I mentioned it for Dijakovic that the personality, it's still kind of bland there. The canvas is still a little bit blank there. The fans are definitely very supportive of him, but needed to build up a little bit more of a personality there. And we saw a little bit of spunk from him during his exchange of words with Damian Priest, calling him a ripoff Marilyn Manson and everything. That got the crowd in his favor and everything. Was liking that. And Damian Priest, boy, I tell you what, that dude's got one hell of a nice voice, man. He's got one of those distinct voice. Certain guys when you hear them. Joe Buck when you hear him. Chris Collinsworth when you hear him. Al Michaels. Low Key. And Damian Priest, when he talks, you just know him when you hear him. He's got a really, really fucking good ass voice, man. And I'm telling you, with a voice that good, I don't know. For me personally, I would make it be exceptionally rare that you hear Damian Priest talk. But when he talks, everybody is silent. They're hanging off of his every word. Because what he is delivering every time he opens his mouth is a matter of fact, almost like a spoiler alert or something like that. But I get what WWE's doing. They see a really good looking guy and I get it. But for me personally, I really wouldn't have him talk that much. But that's just me. Also, Undisputed Era, we saw them laid out. Took a commercial break. We came on back. We saw them guys laid out, wondering who the hell had caused all that ruckus, why all that carnage was out there on display there. Turns out it was Tommaso Ciampa. He's coming in the ring with a table. So now we're having in our head, okay, keep our eyes on this table because it is going to get used at some point. We're going to forget about it for a hot second. Just a hot second. But that table is going to come back into play. Okay, cool. So he was calling out Adam Page. Come on, he wants Goldie back. That's what that essentially is all about. Adam Page did come out. So did William Regal. William Regal was actually trying to calm the hell out of Ciampa, telling him, I was just backstage with Adam Cole there. And did I say Adam Page? Sorry, guys, if I got my Adams mixed up. He was backstage with Adam Cole. And they were just going over the contract signing, negotiating stipulations and all that for the match between him and Ciampa for the title and everything. Well, Eagle was basically saying there was no need for you to do all this, but Cole pretty much took over, got in there face to face with Ciampa. They threw it down and everything. And, here's another case right here that I thought was really interesting too, because my girl actually did see that segment play out, and she goes, God, he reminds me, she's talking about Tommaso, she goes, God, he reminds me of a carbon copy of Shawn Michaels and Triple H, the way he's talking. I'm looking at her and I'm going, have you been on a wrestling site or something? And she goes, no. I'm like, and she's like, what? I'm like, it's weird you say that. It's like, because Tommaso Ciampa had recently said in an interview that he really credits Triple H and Shawn Michaels for helping him out, with his promos and his in-ring work and everything. And she goes, well, I can see the influence. Not that it's a bad thing. It's actually good that he reminds me of those guys when he's talking. And you can see it. You can honestly, you can almost get that impression just taking a step back there, just lean back a little bit. Yeah, you almost do kind of get that impression that, yeah, Triple H and Shawn Michaels, this has been their little pet project here from, but yeah, I loved his execution with the promo he had cut there, setting up the whole brawl there with Adam Cole, getting the best of him, putting him through the table. Somehow during that whole ordeal, his head ended up being busted open a bit at the top. He signs the contract, but you got the crowd there chanting, sign it in your blood, well, whatever the chant was, but they basically were saying, hey, use your blood. And he obliges. He actually, wipes the blood off his head, puts it on the contract, signs it, and you're like, oh, that is killer. Listen to the consumers. They know what they want, man. They know what they want. Fourth matchup of the night, Tegan Nox defeated Dakota Kai. Had a little bit of help there from Candice LeRae. A couple of times there, referee getting distracted. Dakota Kai was trying to do her best to have a knee brace be used in there. She was looking for that 1-up, but once Candice LeRae had got in there, it kind of balanced out the odds a little bit. It essentially set up Tegan Nox to use that knee brace, same knee brace that Dakota Kai was trying to use. A little trademark of one of her many props she likes to use in her matches there, and when the ref is distracted, pretty much had backfired there. So Tegan Nox extracting a little bit of revenge on Dakota Kai, right? I'm sure though the feud for all these cats is going to continue. Somehow it's going to continue to intertwine. Chelsea Green, this was her first match on NXT. Am I right? Was that her first match? Well, in either case, she lost on NXT. But I do know this, Kaden Carter, who she lost to, finally picked up her first win in NXT, at least for the calendar year of 2020. So I got no problem with that. I know some people were probably looking at that and they're probably pulling their hair out. They're probably a little bit mad. I could even probably picture some people kind of going, oh, there's that stupid WWE booking once again, right? No. I can just see this right on the wall, man. I can see Chelsea Green along with her boy Brand, Mr. Brand, whatever the hell his name is there, man. Robbie E is how I remember him. I could just see her cutting her little passionate promo saying what went down last week with Kaden Carter, that was a fluke. You know, she was just lucky. That was just beginner's luck or whatever. I could see another match between those two come about again. Kaden Carter gets the 1-up. Chelsea Green just goes fucking belligerent after that. I can see these girls locking it up at least 3 times. Well, this was the first time. So, second time, Kaden Carter would win. Maybe that would make Chelsea flip the fuck out. Third time, I can see Chelsea Green just finally getting the W and then maybe moving on to somebody else. Or if you wanted to, you could just keep it right there on that dial and let those two girls continue to hash it out. I kind of feel as though maybe this might be a little program though between these two. We'll see. But that Chelsea Green, man, perfect. All right, what was your main event match of the night? If I'm not mistaken, should have been your Dusty Rhodes Classic, yeah? Should have been your Tournament Cup final there. It was the Bromans, that's what I like to call them. Pete Dunne, Matt Riddle. They defeated the Grizzled Young Veterans to become your 2020 Dusty Rhodes Cup winners. Got no problem with that whatsoever. I like those guys, Matt Riddle and Pete Dunne. You know, they're a very interesting combination. I kind of had my, I don't really know about that dog, but they've been gelling really well the past several weeks, man. They really have. Now, Grizzled Young Vets, for them to get all the way to this point, I get the whole face heel. I get that, but I still kind of feel like maybe Kushida and my man, God, what's my man's name? It's Alex Shelley I'm thinking of. I kind of feel like maybe them two should have been in the finals. Those are the guys I was really hoping would go all the way in the tournament, but sadly it didn't go down that way. But I mean, look, they put on a phenomenal matchup tonight. If I had only one gripe about it, I wish it would have went the overrun, because I honestly kind of felt as though, you know, this is probably going to go up until about 10:10, maybe almost 10:15, but to try to cram everything in there in about 10 minutes, essentially, about almost 15 minutes. I don't know, for me, it just kind of felt as though we as viewers got gypped just a little bit. So, but I think they made the right decision. I think as far as who should have became the 2020, that's the way to go. And so now, as a result of these guys winning, they're now in a awesome position where at the next takeover event that's going to be going down in a couple of weeks, they are going to be facing the NXT tag champions for a shot at those titles. So that should be a damn good matchup. I'm looking forward to that. They can go pretty far, WWE there. They can go pretty far if they want to with Pete Dunne and Matt Riddle. But I'm like this. Here's the thing. Their success can go only but so far that Matt Riddle wants it to go. Just marinate on that for a hot second. I'll come back to it. I promise. I won't forget. Did you guys think about who Tyler Bate reminds you of celebrity-wise? I said it before a couple of months ago. I'll say it again. He reminds me of a young Russell Crowe. Just picture him with the beard, gladiator and all that, right? He looks like a young Russell Crowe. So I'm telling you, man, he's got a great fucking look. That's what I mean by he's got a great look. He can hit all those age demographics that you need and everything. Some people may look at him and say, he's a little bit too small though. But nah, man, he's got a great smile, great persona, great in-ring work. Heard a couple of his interviews. He's pretty good. Yeah, somebody like that, you can do some really good things with further down the road. I ain't talking about no world heavyweight championship material, but then again, anything can happen. But you could definitely do some things with a guy like Tyler Bates. And remind me what I'm supposed to touch upon there. I told you guys I would come back to it in a hot second. I'm trying to remember there. We were talking about NXT. No, we pretty much were done with NXT. I don't really think there was another point I wanted to make with regards to NXT there. Now, as far as the ratings go, last week, and I actually am looking at the screenshot right now. Check this out, guys. This is fucking eerie. So, on last week's show, last Wednesday, I had projected that, I'm looking at the notes here. AEW, I said 849,000. NXT, I was looking at 713,000. Now again, AEW, I said 849,000, although originally I did say 876,000. NXT, I stayed firm. I said 713,000, right? So for last week's ratings, AEW did a .35 demo, 871K viewers. And again, I went with 849,000. That's pretty damn good. NXT did a .24 demo, 769K viewers. My projection for NXT, 713,000. So not too bad. Now some people scrutinized the hell out of the AEW numbers for last week, and they said, okay, yeah, they won, but did they really win? Because when you look at what they did last week, they essentially had lost about 40,000 viewers. Where did those 40,000 viewers go? All of them were not on that damn boat. So, what was going on? Where did they all go? And you can put your conspiracy theories out there as far as what was going on with the numbers and all this other stuff. I like just watching people debate on all of that. At the end of the day, my whole thing is, okay, look, and I'll keep saying this till I'm blue in the face. You know who wins ultimately? The wrestling fans do, because they get to check out 2 wrestling promotions every single week. Those are the ultimate winners, in my estimation. But I love watching people just kick back and talk about the ratings. Well, no, this show was better because, well, you guys only won because, but look, the W is the W at the end of the day, because they're both going head to head with each other and everything. But looking at these numbers here, just, thinking about what we got for last week here, I'm going to say that with the whole Trump thing, and you got that whole shit going on at the White House, and everybody's speaking their piece on should the president be impeached and all that. The unfortunate news about Kobe, and it's Super Bowl week. And it's Wednesday night. I'm gonna say that AEW wins again. I am seeing I am seeing 864,000 for AEW. Mark that down. I'm seeing 864,000 for AEW. So if you're looking at that right, I'm actually picturing an increase. Right? I'm going to say 864,150 for AEW. And I'm writing this down as we're speaking. For NXT, I'm going to say NXT, I'm picturing 700 and I'm gonna say 785,000, and that's final. All right, so once again, this past week's AEW and NXT, AEW did 871,000, NXT did 769,000. So I'm projecting for this week, AEW should do 864,000. NXT should do 785,000. So actually, you know what? Let's back up a second. I actually had NXT losing a little bit there. So let me make sure that I'm looking at that right. 871 to... Nah, you know what? Let's change that. For AEW, and this is final. For AEW, I'm going to say AEW is 844,150 to NXT 785,000, and that's final. All right, so we'll see what happens. Since there's no holiday or anything coming up tomorrow, we should know what's going on by tomorrow evening. Hey, so let's get into some wrestling headlines, man. We got a couple more things we can get into as we get ready to wind it down here. We got wrestling and non-wrestling related topics that we can get into. First things first, I want to address something that I had mentioned on social media, and I was a little bit dumbfounded by this, okay? So, all right. Monday night, while Monday Night Raw was on, you remember MVP had a match against Rey Mysterio. This isn't a Raw recap. I'm just... stay with me and indulge me for a minute. So MVP had this match against Rey Mysterio. It was actually a really good match. And loved it. If you didn't check it out, go back, check it out. It was good. And at one point you had the fans, they chanted, "You still got it, you still got it." So I went to Twitter. I didn't really put too many thoughts out there about Monday Night Raw because I was essentially, under the weather. And once Raw was off the air, I pretty much just rolled over, sipped on some NyQuil, called it a night, right? So I put a tweet out and I had said, I think it's quite funny that the fans in attendance are chanting to MVP, "You still got it," but of course he still got it. Like, obviously these fans that are chanting this, they are apparently not aware that he was wrestling in TNA. He wrestled in New Japan Pro Wrestling. He, did some wrestling for HOG and, plenty other promotions. He's been active all of these years. It's not like he went on hiatus for a couple of years. And furthermore, he had just did an appearance at TED Talks. He did speak there at that event. And he was on an episode of Viceland's The Wrestlers with Dan Abrams, right? And if you guys remember, we had interviewed Dan Abrams of The Wrestlers in promoting the show and everything. You can check it out. It's available on demand, on the downloads, YouTube. Just check out the guest exclusives playlist there, right? And so I'm mentioning this for a point. So there was a podcaster, right? Since he didn't call me out by name, I'm not going to call him out. But the fact that he's remained silent all this time, I reached out to him privately about this, and I thought maybe it would create a healthy discussion about this. So a podcaster had took some shots at me without mentioning my name, about that comment that I had made. Keep in mind, he did not like it or retweet it or anything like that, but he took shots and, he gave his respected opinion, and basically he said, you can't really use that same argument because 99.9% of the people that were there in attendance, that's probably, they were probably kids the last time that they had saw MVP. So this was probably their first time ever, other than what they saw on TV. Those fans in attendance, for them, this was probably their first time seeing MVP live in person. Okay, I hear that point. But had this person, and I say this to anybody on social media, and every time I promote my social media pages, and I always say, hey, get at me on Twitter. Twitter is the one that is the place I'm most interactive. Just say hello, let me know the connection so I know exactly, how you came about the show and everything like that. Like, anybody can jump in on anything that I put out there on Twitter. I don't mind going back and forth with people, even if it's a case where maybe you don't want to talk out in the open. Maybe you want to, hey, because I have my private messaging disabled, but if you want to, slide into my DM, if you can, as long as your DM is open, I can DM you. It's no problem. And then we can kind of go back and forth that way. And so I understood the point that this person was making, but just because I said what I said on Twitter, this podcaster is notorious for always telling people, hey, I don't appreciate when people assume the worst about me because, he's had people that have, called him racist in the past and all kinds of other shit. And I've always been one of the first to say, you got him mixed up. He's not like that at all. No. He's not like that at all. Trust me, you're just misunderstanding him. You're just taking this way out of proportion. Look, this is how it really is. I'm always one of the first to defend, not that this person needs defending. So my whole deal was, when I was hearing this, I said, shit, all you had to do was just engage in the conversation. And if you would have asked me to expand upon my thought more, as far as, hey, how are you coming to this conclusion when blah, 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 my retort would have been, hey, and longtime listeners have heard me say this before. I'll say it again. I've been to enough wrestling events over the years, and also I have been to, I got a brain fart there. Sorry. It happens live on the air. I've been to so many wrestling events, and I've also been in a position where I've spoken to people at work. I've worked at a few different places over the years. I've had my main job I've been working at as a market research analyst for almost 10 years, but I've done a couple of side jobs on top of that and my own side business as well. And I have interacted with people as old as maybe, 42, maybe 43, and as young as maybe 17. And I can't tell you guys, and you guys probably have experienced this yourself, but for me, my experience, I have spoken to people who all they eat, sleep, breathe, shit is WWE. That's it. That's all they do. WWE. To the point, hey, I remember this, and you guys will remember this as well. I remember when I had decided I wanted to pick up a second gig for the holidays a couple of years ago. I was working at the mall. You guys remember that? I was working at a mall. And there were people that I was working with. The average age was 18. Oldest was maybe 26, maybe 27, right? Me and this other guy were the oldest at that time. We were the oldest. The other guy that was older than me, he was like 50 something. And then I'm right there at that time. I think I was maybe 36 or 37, one in the, around, somewhere around there. So I would always say to them, oh, so you like the WWE product too, huh? He's like, oh, okay, so who's some of your favorite stars? Okay, hear that. Okay. Yeah, man, the match that he had against so-and-so at the blah, 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 blah. Oh, I don't know anything about that pay-per-view. What? Seriously? Like, how long you been a WWE fan? I've been a WWE fan for about 5 years. Like, oh, okay. Okay, and you don't know about blah, blah, blah from 2001? Like, nah. I'm like, oh, okay. I could remember reading AJ Lee's book right when it had came out. Whatever year that was, the AJ Lee book had came out. I can remember saying to one of my then coworkers, hey, AJ Lee's book came out. You should really check it out. And I had said it to this person because I knew how much of a big fan they were of AJ Lee. And she was like, oh, really? I was like, yeah, and I spent about 5 minutes telling her about the book. And she's like, okay, cool. And I remember like a couple of days later, it's like, hey, by chance, did you check out the book yet? Did you check it out? You gonna pick it up? Nah, yeah, I'll probably check it out maybe next week. We get paid next week. I said, oh, okay, cool. So I let a whole week and a half go by. Hey, you had said you were gonna check out AJ Lee's book. Did you pick it up yet? Yeah, I don't care for wrestlers' autobiographies. The fuck didn't you say that for in the first place? Like, seriously, right? I can remember when Steve Austin was doing the whole Stone Cold podcast, and who else? I can remember recommending that and some other stuff. And I had people that said to me, because I remember there was one guy in particular, he was a big fan of, God, who was he a fan of? I want to say maybe he was a fan of Paige. And I remember saying to him, oh, well, if you like Paige, you should go on the WWE network because Stone Cold, oh, I don't care for those one-on-one interviews, and I don't care for podcasts. I'm like, really? How come? I just care about the in-ring action. That's all I care about. I'm like, oh, okay. And so, this was a recurring theme. I could also remember that there were certain wrestlers that they were looking at and, they were all ecstatic for and everything. And I would say, oh, yeah, you like them, huh? Man, you should have seen some of their work over at the blah, blah, blah promotion. Yeah, they were tearing it up over there, man. They were, blah, blah, blah. They were in this feud, that feud. And they would look at me like, yeah, don't have. And this is how they would deliver the lines. Have no idea of any of those people that you're talking about. Don't know anything about that promotion. Like, oh, okay. So my point, I understand this podcaster's argument, but the point that I'm making, because I try to look at things from all standpoints. Yeah, I can see that standpoint of you have those fans that, hey, maybe they were a kid. Right? Okay, that's granted. But come on, are we really going to go with the whole 99 point? Come on. How many times have you been at an event, a baseball game or whatever, and the wave is coming and you got to be part of that whole thing too? Oh, the wave is coming. The wave is coming. Woo! Okay, it went past. All right, I can go back to my nachos now. Oh, shit, here it comes again. Woo! Right? How many times are you at an event and you participate in something just because you don't want to come off like a dick? And some people do that at an event. They want to feel like they're part of it, and so they'll jump in and they'll try to be part of it just to hey, I'm into it too. See, yeah, right. So you also got to consider that standpoint. And the point that I was speaking from was the standpoint of, hey, not for nothing, but, this whole you still got it, And here's the thing. Any longtime listener knows this. I've been very consistent. MVP has been like a white whale for me. MVP, anytime something has involved some type of news with MVP, I've always spoken upon it on the show, right down to the point. I remember when we were talking with Dan Abrams of The Wrestlers, I remember setting him up. I already knew the answer, but I remember setting him up and saying, hey, tell the listeners about some of the episodes and some of the wrestlers that's going to be coming up during this first season that fans can anticipate. And I remember when he had talked about MVP, and I talked to him, and we had side chatter afterwards, and I told him how much of a big fan I was of not just the series, but of the how I liked MVP and everything. And I remember saying, yeah, MVP, dudes, I can't tell you, MVP has been like a white whale for me. When I first started off into podcasting, he was one I had tried very hard to get on this show, because for me, I was picturing the type of show that didn't have to just center around wrestling. Given that guy's background and everything that I've experienced with, losing loved ones to gun violence and being racially profiled by the police, me and my friends, and just a whole bunch of other shit. I was already picturing in my mind the type of a conversation me and him would be able to have sitting down, and, it wasn't going to be the usual, so when you were in TNA, it wasn't going to be any of that stupid little shit whatsoever. And for whatever respected reasons, there's sometimes either it'd be a scheduling conflict, or I just wouldn't hear anything from MVP. And after about a handful of times in my early podcasting days, I just said, oh, okay, fuck it. I'm done. But that's the standpoint of where I was coming from. And you have to kind of factor that in. See, it pays to, don't just do a show, and read what people are saying in, the comment section and everything like that. You got to be engaging sometimes, especially if you haven't been to a wrestling event in a good minute. It's good to be asking these same people, hey, how was it at that event? What did you see? What did you experience? What was your general takeaway? Okay, what was your interpretation of that? Really, do you think the crowd was really into that? Blah this, blah that. And this isn't me taking cheap shots at this podcast or in any type of way. My whole deal is I'm an open book. If I'm out there on social media, I've always said this, what I say on social media, I would say in person. So, again, if anybody has any type of an issue with what I say on social media, guys, girls, it's open house. Anybody, it's like a party. It's not private. My account isn't private that only certain followers can see what I'm saying. Anybody and their mama can see what I'm saying. If you got any type of an issue, or if you want to have a healthy debate, just reach out. If you maybe just want to have it be a one-on-one type of deal, go ahead, do that as well. But please, if you're going to put me out there, don't let it be so obvious, because, see, what was the dead giveaway? There was a certain thing that he said that let me know that, oh, yeah, he's mentioning me, because I was the only one that had mentioned the thing about Viceland. That was very specific. And I think he also had mentioned TED Talks. So it was kind of like, come on, dude. And you preface it by saying you're not trying to start anything, but you are, because you walked into it, but continue. It's like, come on. And I've been totally cool with you. Like, I consider you a friend. It's like, don't mess up the start of a beautiful relationship over, it's like, just reach out. And that kind of broke my heart a little bit, because I reached out to this guy privately. And I had said, I said, here it is. This is the point that I was coming from. Didn't hear anything back from this person. I didn't hear thanks for expanding your thought, on that more. I just thought you were looking at it from, this standpoint, and you weren't looking at it from, but do you also understand where I'm coming from? And then have a meeting of the minds. With the fact that it was just silent, it's like, okay, I see how it is. It's like, okay, all right, okay, no problem. But yeah, weird how social media is sometimes with some people. The moral story of the day right here, the advice that I can give you guys is, if you feel that you're being challenged by somebody and they're kind of talking shit behind your back, don't be afraid to challenge. There's nothing wrong with challenging people. A couple of wrestling headlines we can dive into here, since last we were on the air with you guys here. All right, so first off, yeah, that's what it was. Remember I had said to you guys, Matt Riddle, that whole little thing there, how far they go as a tag team championship and all of that, it really depends on how Matt Riddle operates. You know, by now you heard the stories there about Matt Riddle. God, the shit backstage with Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar checkmating the fuck out of this dude. Kid, you ain't never gonna work together. You know, stop putting my name out there on social media. So I find that interesting that Brock Lesnar, you know, we don't think he's paying attention to what's being said about him on social media, but apparently Brock is. What's up, Joe? Apparently Brock is reading what's being said about him on social media. He does have his social media accounts, but apparently Brock just mum is the word, but when he needs to say something, he puts it out there in person, mano y mano, when it counts the most. I respect that. That's fucking old school, right? So Matt Riddle apparently had got himself in a little bit of hot water and the rest of the NXT roster, as now supposedly a new mandate has been put out there basically saying, hey, guys, don't be tagging main event stars, you know, on the main flagship shows unless you all have already made an agreement. You've all have agreed to the terms, right? Y'all, everybody's in on it. Everything's good. Like, don't do that, right? And they kind of chuckled about it because they knew exactly what the hell that was all about. Matt Riddle was the one, right? But look, on the one hand, I like the tenacity. I like the cockiness from Matt Riddle. I like him jumping out there and saying, hey, it's going to be me one day you're going to be seeing, not just on the main roster, but it's going to be me one day that you're going to be seeing that's going to be retiring the Beast Incarnate, Brock Lesnar. I like hearing those things, but sometimes too much confidence can be a very bad thing. Sometimes you got to learn when to pump the brakes, be very humble, and try to do your best to come off very respectful. And I know that he comes from that whole MMA world and everything. And what you see with Matt Riddle, that's essentially what you had got when he was in the MMA world and everything. And I mean, look, there's really no telling how much hot water, if hot water at all, this young man has. But like I said a few minutes ago, as far as the success of him and Pete Dunne as tag champions, how far they're able to go during this whole run and everything, I think honestly it just really depends on how well behaved Matt Riddle can continue to be and not put him and Riddle in some type of a position where they're going to have to eat a shit sandwich. Because that's the last thing that they need to be doing right now, right? It seems as though there are some good plans for these guys on the horizon. And, you know, I get Matt Riddle. Yes, without a shadow of doubt, that young man is going to be a bona fide superstar. He is. What I'm most concerned about, though, I said it once before and I'll say it again. What I'm really concerned about is how well this current gimmick is going to connect with the mainstream WWE audience. That's what I'm most concerned about the most. What works for an NXT show, what works for a takeover event, yeah, of course, if you're going to do a Royal Rumble or you're going to do one of the major 4 pay-per-views, yeah, 8 out of 10 or 7 out of 10, your takeover crowd is going to also be there for the main pay-per-view if it just so happens to be in the same venue. Yeah, you're probably gonna, but we're talking about the main roster 200 and something days out of the year. How is that really gonna resonate? How is that gonna resonate, if at all, when you go to Ohio? How is that gonna resonate when you go to, I don't know, Philadelphia, or when you go to Tennessee? You know, is it really going to be clicking like that with people in New York? Is it going to click like that with people in DC, right? You know, only time will tell, and then hopefully it's a success, because if not, then you're going to have to tweak that gimmick a little bit to try to make it be a little bit more mainstream and really current with the flow of where the majority of the fans are right now with their pop culture entertainment and all that. So only time is really going to tell. That's probably the only thing I have trepidations about with Matt Riddle, but bona fide star in the making, no doubt about that. TNA, they've got their upcoming event, There's No Place Like Home. Did you hear about this? Yeah, that's the name of their pay-per-view event. It's called There's No Place Like Home. It is going to be going down in several weeks. I believe it's going to be going down in April. If anybody wants to correct me on that, let me know. But so far, the names that's been announced for this, yeah, if I remember it right, I think it's actually going to be happening on Friday, April 3rd. And I'm actually looking at the calendar right now. And I don't know why April 3rd is yeah, because I remember when I was looking at it, I said, oh, okay, just a week and a half before taxes are due. I remember saying that. Yeah, it's coming up on Friday, April 3rd. Check this out. So far announced, you've got Scott Steiner, Big Papa Pump Scott Steiner, Mabel Leaf, Petey Williams, D'Lo Brown, Ken Anderson, and Chris Sabin. All of those guys are going to be at the TNA There's No Place Like Home event. I believe tickets are on sale right now. And there was another name that they had announced I want to share with you guys. I'm trying to see if I can. Amazing Red. Yeah. Amazing Red has been confirmed to be at that event as well. This is a pay-per-view event, so I'm not sure if it's going to be available through your respective main cable and satellite providers. You're going to have to check the local listings for that, but it's definitely going to be available on Fight TV. I would like to believe it's possibly going to be available on Impact Plus too. So interesting that they're doing that. And then also Impact Wrestling has announced their second annual April event, Rebellion. The date for that is going to be on April the 19th. That will happen at Terminal 5 in New York City. And it's going to be airing live on pay-per-view. Meanwhile, staying with Impact Wrestling just a little bit longer, Brian Cage, he did confirm in a lengthy Instagram post that his tenure in Impact Wrestling is no more. Impact Wrestling, as well as several other promotions, they did try to give him a deal, and he was weighing his options, but truth be told, he tore his pec muscle, and as a result of that, he really can't do anything right now, right? So he's trying to focus on rehab. He's been told that it's going to take at least 6 months for a full recovery, but he's looking to cut that down in half. So fingers crossed and knock on wood with that. But he did say, as far as Impact Wrestling goes, he is no longer signed to them. He did say that. And I know we got the reports out there about Edge and supposedly the deal. At this point, I would rather Edge does an interview and it comes out of his own mouth. That way, okay, this is fact. All right, he is back on a part-time basis, right? I would rather comment then, but I am aware of the reports that's out there about Edge. Look, that spot on Monday Night Raw, I will say that spot right there with Randy Orton, I love that. I enjoyed that. Edge sold that shit like a fucking pro. I mean, the gyrations, almost like he was kind of having a seizure and all that. I mean, he sold the fuck out of that. Crowd was just eating all of that up right there in the fucking palm of Edge and Randy Orton's hands. I loved it. It was perfect storytelling at its finest. I mean, it gave me shades of the unsanctioned match that Triple H and HBK Shawn Michaels had SummerSlam 2002. And at the end of the match, Shawn Michaels won and everything. Triple H, pissed off, comes right in with that sledgehammer to the middle of the spine of HBK, and everybody was just, they were legit. There were people that were actually crying. There were people that were actually fucking crying. Don't believe me, just 2002. Shit, I can tell you, when I was watching it with my friends, a couple of my friends were crying because they were like, they screamed at the fucking TV, right? So, and this is during that time where, you had the Dave Meltzer dirt sheet that was kind of running around, and it was almost kind of like a Hell it was almost kind of still like one of those type of deals, right? Wasn't as well known as it is now. If you were a diehard wrestling fan and you were really going out of your way to understand the ins and outs of everything that was going on, then it was kind of easy for you to come across Dave Meltzer's newsletter and everything like that, or you'd pick up your PW iBook and or some of them other cats, can't remember the names right now, but you had a bunch of those little wrestling books that was out there back in the day. You didn't have the social media as explosive as it is right now, but you legitimately had people that were crying and pissed off at Triple H for what he did to Shawn and everything. So shades of that I was picking up. Look, for Edge to be having his first match against Randy Orton, one of the best veterans that's out there, one of the most protected guys that you could work with, making sure that everything is going to be all right. Can't ask for a better dance partner. You just can't ask for a better dance partner. Want to send speedy recovery to Noelle Foley. Noelle Foley, according to her boyfriend, Frank the Clown, she's been dealing with some serious concussions, migraines, and all that. She hasn't really been doing too good. If you guys remember a while back, she was doing her thing down there at the Performance Center, trying to get the training in there because she wanted to follow in her dad's footsteps and everything. And kind of seems as though some of that training that she had back then, and possibly when she came on back around for a little bit more, not doing too good. She's got some serious concussion issues. So I know a lot of you guys follow her on social media. Maybe haven't checked in with her in a while. Send her some speedy recovery wishes. Also, as we have found out almost right before Monday Night Raw had went off the air, Andrade got suspended for his first WWE wellness policy violation. Look, I can remember watching this guy in a big ton of his matches, for sure, down in NXT, and comparing his physique and all that in NXT to now, pretty consistent. Pretty damn consistent. If you ask me, just 2 cents from a distance, and I could be totally wrong with this, but 2 cents from a distance, it kind of feels to me like maybe, just maybe, there was some type of a miscommunication. Maybe, hey, don't forget, blah, 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 right? Okay, yeah. And maybe somehow he got sidetracked and all that. I mean, not for nothing, him and Charlotte, they did announce recently that they were engaged and everything. So I really wouldn't put it past them if they've already begun. Kind of like, me and Mrs., we're now at the finalization stages. And for us, it's really just, okay, okay, put the money down. We're good to go. I would like to believe these guys are already, okay, when's the date? Okay, yeah, you sure about this quarter? Is that going to really work? Okay, well, nah, we got to also make sure that everybody that we love and care about is going to be there as well. So, yeah, that schedule might not work out for right or not right. So, I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying, just considering how he was, his work ethic and all that down in NXT and everything, long before he even hooked up with Charlotte, I think you guys could even attest to this as well. You didn't hear about any controversies that was going down there with Andrade. You didn't hear about him having a bad rep or, rubbing people the wrong way or anything like that. It's very well possible that ultimately what had went down was a case of miscommunication. That's just my 2 cents from a distance. I'm sure that we'll probably hear a little bit more in the coming days, but yeah, I'm not really tripping over that. And hey, look, for all we know, homegirl Charlotte, she may have been able to pull some strings there. You never know. Which is why they essentially did what they did. Because you would think normally under the circumstances, well, if he's going to be away for 30 days, then it makes all the sense in the world to just have Humberto win the title, right? But remember, we were on this show, Royal Rumble night, live. And I was telling you guys about the whole, what Rey Mysterio had said about wanting to work with Andrade, hair versus mask and everything like that. So maybe the title is going to stay around the waist of Andrade so that, once he comes back, he can do what he needs to do, because you still got a little ways away from WrestleMania and everything. But, maybe what they're hoping to do in the interim is, keep the title on him, let him do his program with Humberto, and then move on to Rey Mysterio and everything. And I really don't have a problem with them doing that. I don't, because I would rather it be a situation where Humberto goes through a correction. No, I said it right, but the names I was thinking originally flip it. I was thinking have Andrade run through Humberto, then have him go through Rey Mysterio, take the mask. Humberto could vow for revenge or whatever. Okay, Andrade, Humberto, that feud's reignited, right? But then Rey Mysterio's son, Dominic, can step in there. It kind of ties back to everything that I had said a couple of months ago. I laid it out too. I had said, look, ultimately you can set everything up so that Dominic can pick up the mask and he's the new Rey Mysterio and everything. And I also had pointed out how some months back there was a couple of copyright and trademarks that Rey Mysterio had got. And I think it's for whenever his son does get ready to wrestle and everything. We'll wait and see. But see what else we got here. Also, for you CM Punk fans, check this out. The Girl on the Third Floor movie, if you guys did not get a chance to check it out in theaters, I know there was a period of time where it was only in select theaters. If you got Netflix, you ain't got to do nothing else. Just make sure your account is current. It's going to be hitting Netflix very soon. As a matter of fact, it's going to be dropping on Netflix February the 22nd. So I'm actually looking forward to that. That was actually something that me and the missus wanted to see. And I think when it came time to see it in theaters, I think we had to travel deep out in Virginia just to go check it out. And it was, no, we're not doing that shit. Fuck that, right? So again, it's going to be hitting Netflix on February 22nd. And the synopsis for that, for those of you that, what the hell was that about? If it kind of seemed like Amityville Horror to you, to a certain degree, yeah, you pretty much got it in a nutshell. But basically, CM Punk plays a guy named Don. He's got a checkered past, fragile, definitely a troubled past. And he is on this path of, trying to straighten up his life and everything. He's got this good woman who's expecting, he's doing a number of odd jobs and everything. And one of the jobs that he takes is this house. And that's all I got to say. I'm not going to say anything else. Shout out to director Matt Reeves. Matt Reeves had wrapped up his first day of filming the new Batman movie this week. Hopefully there's a couple more days he's got in there. I want to see how this new Batman and all that is going to look, the new Penguin and all that. I want to see how these guys are looking. I'm really excited for Matt Reeves' interpretation of Batman, because the one thing that he said that I think is going to officially make him stand out, if not equal to, I can't think of his name right now. Chris Nolan. If not equal to Christopher Nolan, maybe slightly surpass him. The one element that we as comic book fans always appreciated from Batman was his investigative work. And we've seen so many interpretations of Batman in serials, movies, TV shows, like the closest we came to a Batman that was about the investigating was Batman, the animated series. By the time they got to Batman Beyond, they really, let's be honest, they really didn't do any of that investigating stuff. But the original, like the first, I don't know, however many seasons that had went, like the first half at least, it was all about investigating, computer analysis, and all that stuff. But then remember when the animation had changed dramatically, right? They were essentially no longer doing the animation on a blackboard or black paper, I think is what they were doing initially for the original miniseries, the first half of it. You know, once they switched up on the animation, and remember Joker's eyes were now black and his pupils were green in the middle or whatever. Yeah, once they started doing that kind of animation, the whole investigative stuff, right? And I wouldn't be surprised, and I'm curious, and shout out to Julian. Maybe Julian can maybe get a interview with him or whatever, but I'm curious what elements might have inspired Matt Reeves to go in this direction. I know part of him had said it's a side of Batman we've never seen before, but I'm curious, did playing games like Telltale's Batman, if that maybe kind of got the ball rolling, if maybe playing the Batman Arkham games with the most ultimate kick-ass one, Batman Arkham Knight, still one of my all-time favorites, right? You know, you can't help but wonder. So if maybe those all combined might have inspired him to take this unique approach with the Batman, right? But I'm very curious to see what he's going to be able to do with that. So, you know, fingers crossed, and let's not judge. Let's wait until we're able to see this finished result in the palm of our hands, and then pretty much, you know, we can judge from there, right? And one last thing I want to touch upon. I'll try to see if I can end this on a more happier note. But, you know, Sunday, I didn't really take it upon myself to, you know, I got to report this. But I know from the many years that I've always talked about sports and everything, I did kind of feel as though if you were like me on Sunday, the shit with Kobe. And, you know, just to kind of recap it again, you know, for me, it was Sunday afternoon, and I usually like to sleep in late on Sunday. So, you know, I usually will wake up around noon or maybe 1 o'clock or whatever, and my day officially begins. And I remember I had stayed up late the night before. So I was, you know, working on Freddy's painting, and I was binging on some stuff on Netflix. So I worked, you know, I was essentially just doing the midnight oil, staying up night before. So I get up around 1, let the dog out, you know, I'm kicking back and I'm just scrolling through Twitter and everything. And I come across, probably by about maybe 1:30, maybe almost 1:45, I think it was. It's kind of fuzzy now, but I just remember being in the Discord, and I remember seeing something about Kobe, and I'm like, what? I'm like, Kobe dead. I'm like, what? Like, I do a Bing Google search, nothing was coming up. I'm going, yeah, that's bullshit. And I even said, nah, man, that's bullshit. Get that out of here. So, like, nah, man, Kobe's dead. I'm like, Kobe just died. Like, fuck? Like, whatever. And like, so I go on Twitter and I type in Kobe, and then, you know, I see the TMZ article, and I'm going, but TMZ's usually wrong. You know, they usually don't get their shit right anyway. Come on. We're going to make TMZ the new CNN? Fuck TMZ. Fuck them. And then slowly, just within the next 25, almost 30 minutes, you just started to see different news affiliate, you know, ABC affiliate, NBC, you name it. They just started jumping out there, and they were just, and then that's when the reality had really started to settle in. And I just, you know, so that's why I did what I had did on Sunday, reacting to the news. Again, I know a lot of you guys that's been listening to the show for some years. Y'all know how much of a big fan I was of Kobe, how much of a big fan I am of basketball, period, because I'm always, you know, talking about basketball and everything on top of football. And it still doesn't feel real. It still doesn't. And crazy. It's just crazy when it's all said and done. And, you know, the one thing that had troubled me a lot from the moment that we had heard about Kobe and his daughter passing in that accident, to go from, 5 people, like total. Okay. Including Kobe and his daughter, 5 people total. Right. Okay. All right. Well, that hurts, man. But, at least the casualties, and then it goes 6, 7, 8, 9. And you're like, please stop. And then the final number is 9. And you're just going, oh my God. Like, what the fuck? And I put this tweet out, and what was the most troublesome for me, the 48 hours since that terrible, terrible accident, was the lack of media coverage I saw from all of the news stations. Oh, Kobe Bryant, and I'm not just, but this is essentially how it was. Kobe Bryant and his daughter, killed in a helicopter crash, and others. And like, well, God damn it, I know the hook, line, and the bait reel you in. I know it's the Kobe thing, but Jesus fucking Christ, these other people, they got names too. They got faces too. And for me, one of the first media outlets in the 48 hours since all of that had went down, and you guys know where I'm going with this, NBA on TNT. I got to give them mad props, because that first hour that they had because originally Tuesday night we were supposed to get a Clippers taking on the Los Angeles Lakers, but both clubs, really the Lakers, they just decided, no, man, this is too much. No, we're not ready. We can't. Not right now. Let us mourn for a couple of more days, please. And so there was no game from the Staples Center. The Staples Center was supposed to be the site for the Clippers taking on the Lakers on Tuesday night. So instead, we had got a 1 hour long NBA on TNT pregame show, but they didn't talk about the game that was going to be coming up because it was a double hitter. But instead it was right. So instead, they just dedicated a whole hour to remembering Kobe, and man, it was heartbreaking, man. It was heartbreaking to see the big fella Shaq be in tears. Oh my God. And then to see who else was there. I'm trying to think who else was there. Of course, you had Kenny, Ernie Johnson, Charles Barkley. You had D Wade. D Wade was there. Trying to think. There was another person that was there, and I can't quite. His name is on the tip of my tongue right now. I want to say Jerry West. Yeah, Jerry West. Jerry West was there. And to see Jerry West just, his words really touched me the most. Aside from Shaq, Jerry West's words had touched me very deeply as well, because Jerry West, one part during that pregame, he said losing Kobe, he didn't feel that type of pain since he had lost his brother in the Korea War, right? And you're like, and to see Jerry West just, but he was as raw and as honest about his relationship with Kobe from the many intimate conversations that they had. One small intimate conversation that he had revealed was that at one point, Kobe wanted to be traded to the Clippers. And this was back when Jerry was working with the Memphis Grizzlies, I believe it was, he had said. And, he was talking to Kobe, even though he was with Memphis Grizzlies. He still had that relationship with Kobe. And he said to Kobe, no, under no circumstances are you to take any deal with the Clippers. No, I do not want you going over there to them. I do not want you working for that owner. No. And you're like, whoa, so, to see him, Shaq squashed all that silly little stuff that was being put out there about the beef between he and Kobe over the years. It was just big brother, little brother. And, You would have thought that with the documentary that had came out, produced by NBA TV, or what was it, last year or the year before, where Shaq and Kobe sat down one-on-one and they were talking and everything, that would have squashed it. But people were still going back and forth on it. And so to see a very tearful and emotional Shaquille O'Neal, doing his best to set the record straight and everything, you're like, shit, And then after the game that did play was over, I think it was it the Celtics that played? I think it was the Celtics that played, but don't quote me on that. But after the game was over, they came on back and they did another hour-long joint. They showed highlights from what happened with Jerry West and D-Wade talking and everything. This go-round, they had Derek Fisher, they had Rick Fox, and then they addressed the whole, Rick Fox, how the hell did you get brought up into this whole thing, that you were on the helicopter as well, and that was just, talk about poor information. I don't know who ran with that, but I'm sure you can trace it all back if you just follow the breadcrumbs and you just follow, do the time warp, go online, do the little time warp, and I'm sure you can follow the breadcrumbs and see who initially began that report. Whoever had put that information out there, they need to lose their fucking job. Seriously, because they fucked that up on so many levels. It's downright fucking embarrassing. But it was just, but the one thing I loved about that whole NBA on TNT special, not to lose focus, was the fact that the brilliant job that the TNT crew, through Ernie Johnson, saying, hey, for me at least, I don't know how it was for you guys, but seeing all of those other news outlets, it's like, okay, I understand what happened with Kobe and his daughter. It's tragic, but there were other people that were involved in this accident. They have stories of their own to tell and everything. And, Ernie Johnson and TNT, they really did a good job on highlighting those people that were involved. And I also want to give a nod to heavy.com for their sports section. They also had mentioned the names of those victims and gave you a little bit of a bio on, what they were about, their lives and all that. And once again, a unfortunate tragedy that had happened. It just really makes you appreciate the here and now that we're in even more. And something that I did not do on Sunday when we were talking about this initially. Rest in peace, Sarah Chester. Rest in peace, Peyton Chester. Rest in peace, Christina Mazur. Rest in peace, Aura Zabaran. Rest in peace, Carrie Altabelli. Rest in peace, Alyssa Altabelli. Rest in peace, John Altabelli. Rest in peace, Gianna Bryant. And rest in peace, Kobe Bryant. They all have stories to tell. If you're not familiar with their stories, like I said, Inside the NBA on TNT, they did a great job talking about those people. Or you could check out the heavy.com article. Great article letting you know all about those people. And I know one of the victims, matter of fact, the husband of Sarah Chester, I believe it is, if not the husband of Sarah Chester, no, the husband of Christina Mauser. And I know he had talked to the Today Show and everything. But new development, it's kind of why we're talking about it, because it did happen a couple of hours ago. Vanessa Bryant, she spoke for the very first time. She put out a statement on Instagram. This was her first statement here on Instagram. I'll read it to you guys here. She said, "My girls and I want to thank the millions of people who've shown support and love during this horrific time. Thank you for all the prayers. We definitely need them. We are completely devastated by the sudden loss of my adoring husband, Kobe, the amazing father of our children, and my beautiful, sweet Gianna, a loving, thoughtful, and wonderful daughter and amazing sister to Natalia, Bianca, and Capri. We're also devastated for the families who lost their loved ones on Sunday, and we share in their grief intimately. There are not enough words to describe our pain right now. I take comfort in knowing that Kobe and Gigi both knew that they were so deeply loved. We were so incredibly blessed to have them in our lives. I wish they were here with us forever. They were our beautiful blessings taken from us too soon. I'm not sure what our lives hold beyond today, and it's impossible to imagine life without them. But we wake up each day trying to keep pushing because Kobe and our baby girl Gigi are shining on us to light the way. Our love for them is endless, and that's to say immeasurable. I just wish I could hug them, kiss them, and bless them. Have them here with us forever. Thank you for sharing your joy, your grief, and your support with us. We ask that you grant us the respect and privacy we need to navigate this new reality. To honor our Team Mamba family, the Mamba Sports Foundation has set up the Mamba on 3 Fund to help support the other families affected by this tragedy. To donate, please go to mambaon3.org. I'll give that guys to you one more time, mambaon3.org. To further Kobe and Gianna's legacy in youth sports, please visit mambasportsfoundation.org. Thank you so much for lifting us up in your prayers and for loving Kobe, Gigi, Natalia, Bianca, Capri, and me. Hashtag Mamba, Mamacita, girls, dad, daddy's girls, hashtag family. Yeah. So and look, that's, first and only statement. She really didn't need to put anything out there. She really didn't, but, God bless her. God bless that whole entire family, all the families involved in that. So, but yeah, if you were kind of like me, Sunday, I had hit a really dark place. I hadn't hit that dark place since Robin Williams had passed, and I was in a really deep state of depression. And I remember after hearing that news, I hopped in the shower and this usually calms my nerves down. I tried to, enjoy the shower as best as I could. And I just started breaking down crying. I bullshit, I just started breaking down crying in the shower. Because, it's like, somebody that I kind of looked at as an older brother, this is somebody that I kind of looked at as a friend. I remember when he got drafted and everything. I remember how I got started watching the Los Angeles Lakers. It was because of Phil Jackson, and my connection to growing up in the Chicago area, watching the Bulls and everything like that. So, for me, all that time, watching this young man become a grown man, we're both, young men becoming grown men, right? And having it all displayed right before my very eyes and everything, it's just a cold, sharp reminder of how tomorrow is not guaranteed. Nothing is forever, and you have to do your part to live each life to the fullest and everything. But I still found myself in this state of mind where I needed something that was therapeutic. So if you were kind of like me, or maybe you're like me at this point right now, you just haven't been able to shake it off, and you need something kind of therapeutic to, kind of ease you, take some of that tension off you a little bit. Check out, if you didn't get a chance, check out that Inside the NBA on TNT. It was 2 hours worth. I'm sure you could find it on demand, or I'm sure somebody took the time out to upload it on YouTube or Daily Motion. I found it to be very calming, very therapeutic, as it was a great celebration of life. All of them had really fun stories to tell. Of course, they were somber, and as you would expect, but you came out of it feeling very uplifted and everything like that. It's very therapeutic. Trust me, it's very therapeutic. But shout out to Dales, shout out to Nasty Nate, shout out to Steven, Joe Raymond Jr. What's going on with you, buddy? Hope you've been well. I know you've been having some health problems of your own, respectfully. So some problems going on in your own personal life there. Hopefully everything's been going pretty good with you, my friend. And on that note, I hate to end it on a Debbie Downer. That's the last thing I want to do, is end it on a Debbie Downer. But lift your spirits up a little bit. Hey, can we get into some Patreon shout outs? That's something kind of uplifting we can do as we get ready to close this out. Remember, patreon.com/RCWR Show. That is the place you need to be going to check out bonus audio and video content, great majority of which you won't be able to find anywhere else. Put out a great loads of good content this month in January, and we're going to be wrapping up January. I got a new pro wrestling crate that we're going to be unboxing tomorrow. We'll be uploading that on the Patreon channel. We also have a 30 with Lee edition we're going to be doing as well to close out the month of January. And some awesome stuff we got lined up. We're going to be seeing Bad Boys for Life this weekend, me and the missus. So we'll be reviewing that really to kick off February for this weekend and everything. Shout out to Justin Ripstock. What's up, my friend? Shout out to John Krauser. John Krauser, I see you, man. I see you. Multiple man. I see you holding it down. Shout out to you, my friend. Shout out to Sean Kenter. Sean, thanks for checking up on me, buddy. I appreciate it. Appreciate the kind words. Also, shout out to Michael Wolf. Tony Bean Gaming, you want the very latest in all things Marvel Strike Force, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, Marvel Super War. Tony Bean Gaming, he's the man. As a matter of fact, speaking about Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, I see that Tony Bean Gaming was able to share a sneak peek of the upcoming Doctor Doom DLC, and some new costumes are in the works as well. Some new skins. So, pretty good shit right there. I'm so jealous of you guys. Port that motherfucker for us PS4 and Xbox One owners already. Come on, man. How you gonna make that be an exclusive? I ain't feeling that. I got beef, man. I got beef. Also, shout out to Anthony Missionary Thomas of Wrestling Soup. Shout out to my amigo Freddie, what's going on with you, my friend? All right, so programming notes, Patreon stuff this weekend, right? And then afterwards, we're going to have your next edition of the RCWR show. Wow. We will be back with you all on Monday night, February 3rd. I ain't missing that. I was sick this past Monday. It happens, folks. It happens. But Monday night, February 3rd, after Raw goes off the air, I will be back with you guys for sure. So, meantime, be kind, rewind. In case you didn't know, there was about 4 or 5 different things that was done. I know there was something was exclusive. We did a WWE Worlds Collide post show. That was exclusive for our Patreon members. We did the NWA Hard Times pay-per-view recap post show. That's a free-for-all. What else did we do? We did the Royal Rumble, right? We did Royal Rumble. We did have a show last Wednesday. Let's see. Yeah, there's the whole loads. And then you got the Patreon stuff. So you guys want some more good content, you guys know where to go. If you're waiting for the audio version of this, I would say at this point, give me about 30 minutes. Give me about 30 minutes at most, and I should have this ready to go. I will say Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Spreaker, they'll have first dibs on this, and everybody else will get it in the wee hours of the morning. Definitely by the time you go out for work, school, and all that. All right? And, yeah. Hey, Sean, what's up, buddy? What's up, man? And yeah, so that's going to do it. I'm wishing, just kind of follow up what I said earlier. I always close the show out with this. I wish all of you all to be safe. And I always mean that, and the shit that went down over the weekend. Yeah. So until I hear from you guys next go around, please, everybody, be safe. And most importantly, be kind to one another. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. Remember that. All right. I will check you guys out next week. Patreon members, I got you all's hook up this weekend. And you can get at me on Twitter. You can interact in between. You don't have to just wait for the next show. Get at me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Use keywords, the RCWR Show. Join the Discord as well. We got a nice little growing community over there. Pretty soon we're going to start doing some stuff. I was kind of planning it out. And I got to talk with, essentially our Patreon members and see if they think that's kind of a good idea and essentially what we kind of work on their schedule. But I'm thinking there's probably going to be a night where you will like do a show, but then I'll do like an additional 30 minutes just, answering questions like strictly from our Discord audience, like anybody that just wants to hop in and they want to chat, go back and forth. I was kind of thinking like maybe doing something like that. We'll see. But yeah. All right, guys, before I start ranting, much love. Peace. I'm just kidding. No, this time. Peace.